YouTube. It's your old pal Nutty. For the past couple of months, Uncle Kerry has had me hidden behind some sort of box that was right over there. I almost kicked it away on yesterday's show, but we got a great show today. So without further ado, let's bring on Uncle Kerry and Uncle Mitch. Yay! See ya. Bye.
Welcome in, everybody, into our another nutty show. Today it is Friday, March the 24th, 2023. I am Kerry Holzman, and this
is Mitch Morrison. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
How things been?
Good.
Did you get shorter? Did I get taller?
I don't know. I had a couple of auditions this week, very nice, for a feature film that's going to be shooting in Tucson, Arizona, at the end of May. So again, we don't do live in-person auditions anymore. They're all done on tape. So
I think that would be more stress-free.
Yeah, but again, you know, people want to do it 40 takes, you know, and pick
that's the other benefit.
Yeah, pick the one that is a benefit versus when you go into an office, a casting office, you get one try. If they like you, maybe a second try, and that's it. So you only get two. Whereas, yeah, when you're filming yourself, you can really pick the one that you really like. But I'm like, yeah. So I kind of force myself to only do three times and pick the one that's best. But they wanted me to play a Jewish doctor.
A Jewish doctor?
Oy vey. So Dr. Ben Ginsberg, I'm like, I don't quite know whether I, passed the muster, but I was off book, and I
you absolutely won't get any roles you go and audition for.
That's true. That's
right?
True. And again, after auditioning for the role of a priest, that I kind of went, nah. So the casting lady must have liked me, because then they emailed my agent.
She said you look more Jewish than Catholic.
Yeah. So then you
auditioned for the priest. They said he looks more like a rabbi.
So then they emailed my agent and said, let him audition for this part of Dr. Ben Ginsberg. I'm like, shalom. Okay.
Hey, it's all good.
So yeah,
no small parts.
That's true. That's true. Just
especially
small
if you're a Jewish doctor.
Actors. So how's everybody doing today on this Freaky Friday? Where the weather here in balmy Phoenix is about 60. Yeah, it rained for the last couple of days, but now it's sunny and bright and about 65 out there. Perfect motorcycle riding weather. So yeah, we got Bike Week coming up next week. We're north of us in Cave Creek. We usually get about 300-400 bikes all up there at the bar, everyone drinking, which, I would go up there, but have a sarsaparilla, because I'm not going to drink and drive my motorcycle. So I can barely handle it myself now. So
let's see here. Hello to Mortant and David Mack joining us in the chat room here. These folks joined early, long before the show began. Wilhelm Gordon joins us, and lots of familiar faces and names. Dustin Fuller says hello. Welcome in all. Some folks mentioned there was not a parts list earlier. I try to keep the parts list kind of a secret. If you refresh the page and look in the video description, you should see an entire parts list now for today's video. I want to thank our good friend John Wilson, who submitted a contribution via PayPal before the show. Our good friend Buster. Peter Laycock, he also submitted a contribution before the show.
I'll bet it's cool in Bonnie, Scotland today.
I bet it's raining. Just guessing.
Yeah, so thank you, Peter. Buster.
And Craig Lothy says, we need a poll in the chat room, like how many cuss words will Kerry use building in this case? This case is actually super easy to build.
Yeah.
It's one of the easiest cases I've ever built in.
Plenty of space.
I wanted to give a shout out also to Kevin Dura. Kevin's been quietly submitting some Amazon gift cards and such. And I just want to shout out to Kevin and say thank you. And then Radcliffe also, or Rad, thank you guys for supporting the channel. Videos like this are just not made possible through what YouTube pays me. I really, I really have I'm on the fence about this build because it's over the top and ridiculous. Every once in a while, I will do what the hobbyists and the enthusiasts typically do on YouTube, which is to build something impractical, over the top, and extraordinarily expensive. And so I haven't done it in a while. You know, the last one we did that big beast build. That was $10,000 for what it was essentially 2 very high-end motherboards in one very expensive case. Actually, today's case is right around the same price as that. And there was no buyer for that. So when I knew I was going to make a series of videos, and I just did the gamble that among the videos I can make out of it, they'll all generate enough revenue to pay for it, because I didn't have any use for it and I had nowhere to put it. It would just essentially go into a back room and get covered up until another project idea. And then Doug Betts over at Live Windows Training reached out and said, hey, I could really use that. Do you want to sell it? And I'm like, I can't ship it. He says, I'll drive out and pick it up. I said, come on down. So, well, it would not have killed me financially to keep it. It certainly helped me to sell it so I could reinvest the money back into more materials for more content. And so these builds don't happen often like they used to anymore, because quite frankly, YouTube revenues have been cut in half, and sales are really down on PCs as well. But that's typical to be expected after the pandemic, when everybody was buying PCs. Everybody mostly has a fairly new PC these days that was going to buy one. So they won't need one again until probably next year, and then we'll see it pick back up. And these mini PCs that I've been reviewing are incredible value and good enough, or more than good enough, for most home users, even many businesses. So I think the idea of building your own PC is going to be mostly left to enthusiasts and hobbyists in a few years. Professionals likely won't do it anymore. Or, well, let me rephrase that. The amount of commonality it's going to become rarer and rarer to find somebody who runs a business where they're building PCs, because there wasn't any money in it. You know, you can make very little money, and now the number of orders coming in are likely going to just go in one direction. It'll never bottom out, but it'll just keep declining and declining, because more and more people will choose to do it themselves, which you should if you're in that line of thinking that it sounds like something fun to do. That's why I make the videos. And then, of course, if you're just looking for a bargain to get you by, those mini PCs really can't be beat. There's much smaller, much easier to move around, to have shipped, and less stuff to break on them, but also less stuff to repair and less opportunity to upgrade. But, you know, if the option is buying some pre-built from a retailer, why not just get the mini PC and save your money?
Well, and then, am I right, more and more laptops are becoming powerful enough to do some things like video editing and things like, and there's nothing like having something you fold up and you can take with you from place to place versus a desktop that's kind of stuck in one place at your office.
So working in the industry, I can tell you, most customers that I speak to that have laptops are not traveling with them. They just don't like all the cables and wires. They never take the laptop anywhere. It just stays plugged in all the time. It's mostly business executive types that are using laptops, or college age kids that are going to school. And then you have your specialty gamer laptops, which of course have terrible battery life. They're usually pretty heavy, and they're very, very, very expensive. So because of the price barrier, those are just, they're never really going to get as popular. Like Framework has a laptop. They're trying, you know, God bless them, they're trying. But now they're making it so you can swap the video card in it. And we'll see if that ever picks up any steam. But the problem is they're so expensive. Their lifespan isn't any longer than a cheaper laptop. It's just that it's designed for gaming. And as I've said before, gaming is an expensive luxury. And some people don't get that. But it's interesting to see how the market is changing. It's not going away, it's adapting, and it's becoming something else. You know, a lot of people thought smartphones and tablets were taking over the PC, but as long as you work, if you have a job and you go to an office, you'll be working with a PC. It could be a mini PC, but it will be a PC. A PC is a creation device. And gaming is consuming. A smartphone and a tablet are generally almost always used for consuming. Very little creation being done on a PC or on a laptop. Get the words. On a smartphone or a tablet. All of the things you're consuming, nearly almost 100% of what you consume on a tablet or a smartphone was created on a PC. Whenever you see that PCs are dying, you see these articles written, do me a favor and write the author of that clickbaity false article and ask them what they wrote that article on. Ask them which smartphone or tablet they wrote it on.
Right.
So it's very hypocritical, and it's all clickbaity, and it's been going on for 20 years. They've been writing the PCs going. PC can't go away as long as we have businesses. If businesses go away, we're all going to have much bigger problems with our life than PCs, and there won't be any content left to consume. So all praise the content creators, right? And corporations and YouTube and blog posts. And yes, because without them, we'd have very little use for this except to talk to each other, and that's going away too.
And like Carrie says, chat, once you build one machine and that you fire that up, there's a pride there that you're just going to want to build another one, because there's an accomplishment there where you took all the pieces, you took your time, fired it up, boom, you got a working machine based on the things that you wanted to put in it. And so, yeah, it's true.
People, until you build your own PC, you'll never really understand what Mitch is describing. You just can't really put it in words. There's our friend.
Hey.
Peter Leckock contributes 10 pounds. He says, good evening, Carrie, Marlena, and Mitch, and everyone in the chat. All the best from Bonnie, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh is 45 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 7 degrees Celsius. And it's raining on and off.
It's a bit brisk at 45, yeah.
Yeah, but, it's very green.
Yeah, and lush, yeah.
Jamie McGregor says, hello from Scotland as well. Welcome in. Matthew Burden says, hello. And Garfield Rupe, Ron Barnish, Rob Gurley. Welcome in. Welcome in. Good to see so many people anticipating today's build. Mark Gaines joining us from the UK says, good evening, Carrie and Marlena and Mitch. Whether everybody's leaving you last. We should be offended.
The best for last.
Okay. Age before beauty. No, wait.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm the oldest one here.
Speak up.
Yeah.
Where'd you leave your walker at?
Yeah. My 3-prong cane. All right, so.
Mitch, are you going to see Toto on this tour? That's what Nick Poverman wants to know.
Nick, yes. They're touring. They're still touring with Journey, where they're the opening act in Journey, but they're doing about 20 shows around the country where they're just the headliner. They're the solo act. So I went online and typed, thinking it would be the closest would either be Vegas or LA, but to my shock, it's San Diego on April 20th or something like that. So I'll just road trip it down there. It's about, what do you think, 7.5 hour drive? Somebody told me about 8.
To San Diego?
To San Diego.
Well, normally...
With you, Leadfoot, it's 5, but I mean...
Well, to LA, like if you're taking the 10 across,
right.
LA is about 5.5. San Diego, you got to jump on that 8. That adds about 45 minutes. You're probably about 6 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Barring traffic accidents, road condition, that's.
I might go the day before just to, because I'd hate to be rushing there and then have some sort of an accident that prevents me. Unfortunately, I did not get a first row seat, but third row. And normally I would pay to do the meet and greets, but they're just not doing that for obvious reasons. The guys are old and all that handshaking and photo taking. So, but I'm like, I figure on the third row, if they come out, you usually can't see anybody when the spotlights are hitting you. But if I stand up with one of my 57 Toto shirts, certainly
they know who you are.
The guitarist will go like this, so the people next to me will go, do they know you? And I'm like, unfortunately, yes. But we won't talk about the restraining order. All right. So.
It's now 560.
Yeah. Mitch from Phoenix again. Stop following us. I can't help it. So yes, I'm excited to see the boys.
Andy Kane says the weather's similar in Dublin, Ireland, where he is. We got viewers watching us all over the world. And Rick Lake says hello. Planet Cryos with a $2 super chat says, take it with no complaints. Thank you, Planet Cryos. Gerhard says, hi, Mitch and Carrie. Hey, your name went first.
Okay.
Patrick Manny says, hi, Mitch, and totally ignores me. So there you go. I said something, and now they're responding.
And one more bit of news, chat, that Carrie's kind of been helping me. Normally, I'd plan my trips out of the country in July to get out of the heat, but last year I was planning on going to Vietnam, did not, so now Monday, September 4th I booked my ticket, and Carrie's like, do business class, you cheapskate, and I'm like, but I got I got a one-way ticket from LAX, Los Angeles, to Saigon, which is now called Ho Chi Minh, one-way economy, $400, and business class they wanted $2,200. You know, that's like if it was 3 times, maybe even 4 times as much.
But how long is that flight?
Well, luckily it's broken up, so it's at Los Angeles to Tokyo. That's about 11 and a half, and then I got a 3-hour.
That's a long time to be in economy.
Yeah, and then I got a 3-hour wait, and then Tokyo to Ho Chi Minh is 6.5, so ooh. I don't get in until I leave, Monday morning. I don't get in till Tuesday night or something like that, and at 10 p.m., but I found a hotel literally a 4-minute walk from the airport, so that's nice. I won't have to get into a cab or anything, and because if I land at 10 p.m., by the time I get through customs, that could be 11:30 or 12, so I guess I'll have to let them know that I want a late checkout, because I'm sure not gonna have them, you got to check out at 11. Wait, I just spent 23 hours on plane rides. I'm so punchy that I can't. So there you go. Excited to spend a month or so. Maybe go into Cambodia and never come home. What?
We'll look forward to seeing some. Hopefully you
some
make little short videos.
Again.
Check in with us.
Yeah.
Let's see, just kind of catching up with the chat before we start the build. Rudy says, per your recommended instructions, I upgraded my laptop to a 2 gig Samsung solid state drive, and it's an amazing increase in performance. Yeah, well, welcome to 3 years ago. We're glad you got around to it. Give that laptop new life. Yeah. Kelly Stewart says hello, joining us from Northern California. Luke Slater contributes £5. Says, thanks, Gary, for all your videos. I'm going to enjoy this beast build. And Darnell says, how you doing, Mitch?
If I was any happier, I couldn't stand myself. So.
Luke Greenia says, LOL, Mitch, try those hours in a C-130. Mark Baggett says, happy Friday. Catherine Anna Hauserman.
I'm thinking about taking an Ambien before I get on the plane, but just my luck, I'll sleepwalk down the aisle and try to open the exit.
Oh, don't worry, you can't open that.
And then I'll wake up duct taped to a seat. Where am I? What happened? You don't remember? No. Next thing I was in Los Angeles.
Well, you could go on a Twitter tirade like Roseanne, but you won't have any Wi-Fi access.
Right, yeah.
Maybe. So you should be all right.
So, yeah.
Mitch, do you still have your older Saturn? Oh, we got rid of that.
No, got rid of that.
Got lucky.
Yeah.
The peak of the used car.
Yeah, the transmission was just kind of starting to slip. And I drove that gingerly to CarMax, and they gave me $2,000 for a 19-year-old car. And even the salesman...
It was in really good shape.
Yeah, even the salesman went, this must have low mileage. And I'm like, 220,000 miles. He said, oh my God. So then he drove it around the block. Let me just drive it around the block. And I kept thinking, please, engine light, don't come on, don't come on, don't come on. Or he'll go, what's wrong with this thing? But it didn't. And then he's like, nah, we'll give you $2,000. Sold American. So that was nice.
Yeah, Mitch takes really good care of his cars. You'd never guess that car was that old or had that many miles on it. Yeah. So,
but I did get choked up letting her go. I mean, that's 19 and a half years for a vehicle that I just did its normal maintenance. And
yeah, well, I had the Blazer for 19 years, and I was happy to release it because it was costing me more. It was just bleeding me dry. Oh, I missed a contribution from Dom Parada, contributed $9.99 in Super Chat. So excited to see you all live. Glorious 49 degrees Fahrenheit here in Albany, New York.
Okay.
Albany.
I was just watching John Wick last night. So it's all in New York. Not in Albany.
Which part? 3?
1. Start at the
yeah.
beginning.
Love
I
that.
forgot John Leguizamo was in it.
Yeah, love that Mustang or whatever that car. Yeah.
Ken Volchenik became a member. Oh. It's got a number 2 on it, though. Why does it say new?
So,
Well,
yeah,
thank you, Ken.
speaking of John Wick 4 opens today.
That's right.
With not 10, not 11, but 12. I ran out of hands. But 12 action scenes for an action
Counting
movie.
action scenes?
Yeah, they're counting action
They usually
scenes,
start
so-
with a real good one.
Yeah.
Almost like James Bond. You know, they do the James Bond movies do their most elaborate action sequence before the titles. Like that's how the movie starts.
Yeah.
John Wick, it's like they always try to one up the action sequence to do something ridiculous, whether it's sword fights on moving motorcycles, samurai sword fights, or a horse, like a car chase through New York City, but on horseback, which is like over the top.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do in this one, but from the previews, the choreography and the fight sequence, it's quick. Everything in the John Wick movies looks real. Like, he runs out of bullets and has to change the magazine or change the weapon. It happens quickly, like in real life. The guns are very, very loud. The way they do the audio, it's disturbing. And his practice, John Wick's practice for this, was firing real guns in a competition where he emptied 2 magazines, hit every target, and did it under 17 seconds. Like that's incredibly impressive. That was a couple years ago. I don't know what he's done to prep for this one, but gotta love that man's dedication, and he does seem to enjoy it. So I'll be seeing that one in the theater for sure.
This week, where they had the opening and they interviewed Keanu about losing Lance Reddick, Keanu could barely stand there without crying. He's like, I just, words can't. He's like, I just don't know what to say, you know.
That was surprising, guy that young and just all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But
and I forget his character, Cherie. It begins with a C. He played
he's like the
concierge of the Continental.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he happened to have a great part for 5 or 7 seasons in the TV show Bosch. Represent. All right.
Is that what that means?
No, Harry Bosch wears one of these as the lead character, so I liked it when I saw them. What is that? Oh, it's just a bracelet that you put on and it shrinks in the water, and then you don't take it off till it falls apart or you get blood on it.
Mike Yazzie just contributed $20 as a super chat.
Hey,
Thank you, Mike. No spoilers for those who don't watch it. So not everybody's going to watch. It's not everybody's cup of tea. But John Wick is sort of an over-the-top. What I like about it is in the movie they acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You upset John Wick?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. They're like, what's the big deal? He's just a man. Oh, no, he isn't.
Yeah.
They're like, what is he, the boogeyman?
Yeah.
No, he's the man you hired to kill the boogeyman.
Yeah.
He's like, he killed 3 people with a pencil. Yeah. Who does that? So there's this self-awareness that this isn't even right. There's no way this guy could do that. And you're like, yes, he can. Yes, he can. And then, of course, you watch the movie, and so there's a little tongue-in-cheek self-awareness in it that takes some of makes it a little more believable. Yeah. And, of course, it's a combination of skill and just dumb luck that he gets away with some of the things he gets away with. But for me, like, I saw that movie and I thought I was watching some terrible B movie, and it just kept getting better and better. And now, of course, they're dumping all kinds of movie actors want to be a part of it, dumping all kinds of money into the movie. Yeah. They had Halle Berry in it. Yeah. There's always a dog involved, always, which, I'm a big dog person. So that just warms my heart. And that's always a major part of the John Wick movies is a dog, not necessarily.
If you have Netflix, chat, try a movie called The Big Four. Now you've got to read subtitles, or thanks to Netflix, the dubbing is pretty good nowadays with anything Netflix, but if you want wall-to-wall action, the big four, over the top, very Tarantino-esque, but if you're craving action, I give it the thumbs up.
There's a great movie that came out of the Philippines called The Raid. Oh my. And again, it's there's dub version and subtitle version. But if you like martial arts, wow, these guys are fast.
Yeah.
And it's just wall to wall
Action.
Yeah.
The Raid and Raid 2. Yep.
Which they essentially stole The Raid and made Judge Dredd a complete ripoff of The Raid. But it wasn't very popular here. The Raid wasn't very popular here in America. I didn't even know they made movies in the Philippines, so I was like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Bob R. has now been a member for 10 months. He says, wow, 10 months of great content. Thanks. All right, guys, well, I think our monologue is out of the way. You want to get started?
Yeah.
How about we get Camera Girl to work? Okay. I need a little bell I can ring. Ding, 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 ding. Camera Girl.
You want to tell the folks about the pots we're using?
I will when we get some close-ups.
Oh, close-ups of the parts.
Yeah, then we'll know which parts we're talking about. So getting the camera all fired up here and turned on.
Hopefully I didn't break it.
Oh,
yeah.
No,
pretty
I've knocked that
hard,
camera over like 3 times. Let's switch to the close-up camera. Let's see if it's working. If it's not working, it's Mitch's fault. Don't worry, I'll take it out of your check.
Indubitable.
There you go. Okay, now before we gotta watch this camera. Before we get into talking about these parts right down here, I want to step to my left, camera right, and we're gonna take a look. I'm not lifting this up. Can you not film all my junk food on the floor? Maybe can you just walk this way?
No, there's how much cable is left? Ooh.
There we go. Yeah. That's fine. Just point the camera down. You're good there. Yes, so this is the computer we're going to be working on today, which still has the board that we built in it previously. And as you can see here in Studio B, across the floor, there's not a lot of shelvings. So I just put everything on the floor and I have to walk around it. So when I tell you it's chaos over here, I am not exaggerating. All right. Let's go back over here where it looks more professional, please. Thank you. I hate going over to that side. You just got to keep everything in frames. Everything looks all professional. But we will slide the inside of the case. The inside pulls out as a tray, and we will take that motherboard off and put this motherboard on. But first, we have to prep this motherboard. So to do that, what I have before you is a GIGABYTE Z790. Right here, go up to the top. Z790 AORUS Elite AX. The AX implies it's got built-in AX Wi-Fi. And the 700 series is the latest chipset, which is, of course, what we want to use using the latest flagship processor. And that's about a $300 board, especially with sales tax.
Okay.
So nothing on this build is cheap. The CPU we're going to use is the fastest flagship CPU Intel has on the market for consumers. That's the i9-13900KS. This thing is an electricity hog and a massive, go ahead and show the bottom. It's got a little sticker with all of the specs. This thing is just not much in the way of ingenuity here. We're just cranking everything to 11. So power consumption goes through the roof, heat goes through the roof. It's just like an old school 1970s muscle car where, you know, we had an infinite amount of gas. We were never going to run out of gas. Let's just get 4 miles to the gallon. That's Intel's equivalent. And this day and age, to see Intel do this, I find very, very disappointing. When we're so ecologically minded, it's as though, I don't know, we've taken a break and said, to heck with the environment. Now for RAM, I decided to go with some Corsair Dominator. I normally wouldn't buy this over-the-top RAM, but I feel like it's an over-the-top system.
Okay.
And having 2 sticks, well, that's plenty of actual RAM, won't make the system look good enough. So I bought 2 of these kits. The kits are 2 sticks of 16 gig. We have 4 slots, so we're going to have 64 gigs total. And it all has to match, you know, so it can get all the proper oohs and ahs. There's no technical reason for this. This computer really won't be used for anything that justifies this excessiveness.
Okay.
We're doing it because we can. And like I said, these are very expensive build videos. The machine that we just looked at was never finished. That machine at the time was a pretty high-end build. I don't have any use for it, so it just sat. So before filming, we had to get it out of the closet and get all the dust off of it. It's a real shame because it's a perfectly good system just the way it is. It's a 10th gen. I think was originally a 10700K, and then I upgraded it to a 10850K because it was just a processor swap.
Okay.
Then I never touched it again. So we're going to be ripping that out, putting this in, and when this goes in, it probably won't get touched again. We'll see what happens. I might find a use for it. In the meantime, for storage, we're going to use the Western Digital, the SN850X. That's a 4 terabyte Gen 4 solid state drive. No heatsink is required, but this motherboard probably has heat sinks for the M.2. They're mostly there for aesthetics. They don't really do much. And in order to prep this motherboard, we're going to need to put some kind of a cooler on the CPU just to get things running, to get Windows installed. So I bought this returned product. This is a classic Mugen 5 that, you know what? We can't use this. You know why? It's not socket 1700.
Oh.
It just occurred to me. This was, somebody returned this, and I thought, you know what? I'll get it cheap. And
yeah, the motherboard is LGA 1700, yeah.
Yeah, and so we want a revision.
Never mind.
Yeah, this isn't going to support, this is socket 1200, which is revision B. We need revision C, and I did not want to open a brand new cooler because it's only going to be on here temporarily so I can get the OS installed. And then finally, and I don't have it here on the counter because it's fragile, but I will show everybody.
Fragile? It's fragile?
It's fragile, it's expensive, it's sought after, and it's going to be in the way. And we won't install this likely until a follow-up video. But this is the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3090 Ti Founders Edition. The tape is still sealed on the box. I've never opened it. I've been sitting on it about 3 months.
I'm salivating. Okay.
You know, the problem is I have so many parts here, I kind of forgot I had it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did buy this for a reason. What am I gonna, I was gonna put it in the streaming computer here to the right, but I'm not even using the 3070 that it's got.
Right.
Like I'm using it, but I could be using onboard video for what I'm doing now. So this is also a very large card. I think it's, if it's not 3 slots wide, I know the 4090 is 3 slots wide. And it could get in the way with me installing the capture card on this build over here. So I thought I'll save this for something that deserves it, that's worthy of it. So we will get to this. So it is in the parts list. Oh my God, feel how heavy that is.
You do rip curls with that.
Right?
So,
It's
yeah.
crazy. The 4090 is even heavier. Okay, so we're going to start by prepping the board. And I will have to figure out what we're going to do for a cooler. I'm likely just going to have to open.
Have you opened this? Or is this
No, I haven't opened
hermetically
it. All
sealed?
of these parts are all exactly the way they arrived. So if there's no tape on the box, then that's the way, you know,
Okay.
if there's no cut tape, I should say.
Oh, that's a heavy. Is there anything that we're going to need underneath? What do you got? You got Wi-Fi, SATA.
I did find a Mugen 5 Silver Edition that's socket 1700. That's brand new.
Okay.
I don't want to spend the extra $5 for the black edition to make it look pretty when it's only going to be on temporarily. So this is brand new though. It's not a return product. What was under there? I didn't get to see.
Oh.
Oh, we got our Wi-Fi. I guess the M.2 screws are built into the board now. We've got our G connector. Glad to see they're still using those. And then we have a couple of SATA cables. That's all we get?
That's it.
For $300, that's all we get?
How do you like them apples?
I'll tell you what, man, they just don't do it like they used to. $300 doesn't buy you what it used to. tape. There we go.
Very exciting.
I'll just set that right over there.
Yeah. Ooh.
Let's see the ports on the end. This side here. What do we got there? I got, looks like a 2.5 gig LAN.
4 USB 2s. 3 USB.
3, 4, 5, 6 USB 3s, 4 USB 2s. So 10 USBs in the back. That's impressive. All right.
Optical out. You don't see
Not
that
much in the way of
anymore.
audio out, though, is there? I don't see any like surround sound ports or multiple inputs. It just looks pretty basic on the audio.
Yeah.
But our antennas for the built-in Wi-Fi, or the ports for the antennas, are there. Overall, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got a Type C. That might be display, right? Not just Type C. USB Type C 2.
Oh, 2.5 gig Ethernet. I'm not sure. I would imagine at this level of board that would be
display.
If it's not Thunderbolt, we'd have to look at the specs.
Yeah.
We'll find out. It's nothing I use anyway, so that's why I'm not too interested. But you can see we've got what appears to be something installed underneath. It looks like something's under this heatsink. And then we have another heatsink here with likely more M.2 slots. It looks like there might be 2 or 3.
Okay.
Looks like maybe 2 here and 1 here. But I am very curious what the heck is underneath this. I'm seeing something. If you move the camera in there, is it me or is there something under there?
Well, there's a screw here. Let's open it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that a number 1?
We'll use the JIS driver right here. Good man.
Yeah, that's quite a thermal.
Elhez says it's USB-C 20 gig. Thank you, Elhez. You can see it better than we can.
I thought this was magnet. Yeah, you got the magnet on it.
It may be a captive screw, so then that's it. Just lift up on an angle like a door. It may swing up. Well, you want me to do it, or are you going to do it?
I thought I did it all the way, but clearly I did not.
Oh, I'm seeing the blue tape. And what is this? This just appears to be, oh, it's got thermal compound on both sides. I've never seen that before. Okay. So that's going to keep our Western Digital Black SSD nice and cool. It's not really going to cool it much, but we'll take it. Then underneath here, we're likely going to have a couple more M.2s that we aren't going to use in today's build, but we could always, use them later. And you know what? If a video card did take up 3 slots here, we're not blocking anything.
Yep.
So I like that. One, two, 3 M.2s. So we have 4 M.2s total.
Wow.
And these are cool, but you don't need screws. You just have these quick latches that lock the M.2 drive in place with no
toolless, yeah.
Yeah, no screws required. No little tiny screw to lose.
Yep.
I love that. You can thank ASUS for creating that, and then everybody copies what ASUS does. More thermal tape down there. Since we're not going to use this, I'm going to set it back. Now, when you're building these are optional. They're really just there for looks. They don't really do a whole lot for cooling. It also depends what solid-state drive you're using, but if your solid-state drive came with a heatsink, you have a choice to make. You can rip the heatsink off and replace it so that your motherboard looks pretty, but this is probably an inferior heatsink. Depending, again, there's a lot of variables there. If you've got a Gen 3 drive, it really is just for looks. Gen 4 drives actually run a little better performance the hotter they get to a certain extent. So heat isn't necessarily a bad thing. So mostly these are there for looks, but maybe the Gen 5 drives, it becomes more critical. or if you're a very, very heavy I/O user, it may be helpful. So if we want to just see how this works, I've got the Western Digital Black here. You want to take that out of the box?
4 terabytes of storage. Gosh.
I mean, it's kind of silly, isn't it, that they make the installation of the M.2 very simple with no tool, but then to put the heatsink on, you need a tool. So one way or another, you're still going to have to use the same tool. So it's not like you don't have it.
You switch from normal blades to serrated.
Yeah, well, I learned that they had the serrated blades.
Cut away, all right.
And I was like, I didn't know they made razor blades that were serrated. So I went on Amazon and bought like a package of 100 of them, and you're probably going to be seeing those for quite a while.
That'll last you 20 years? Okay.
Probably, yeah. I love this Western Digital Black drive. On Amazon now, they're only $379. As we're making the video Friday, March 24th, 2023. That's well under $100 per terabyte. That's a, did I say terabyte?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wait. Yeah, it's terabytes. 4 terabytes. So you can get a 4 terabytes for $379. That's high performance and made by a name brand manufacturer. That's a bargain all day long.
Now, are you going to? We got to peel this, and then is that going to be okay on top of?
That's what it's designed to do.
Okay.
So I just want to do one thing here because it looked like it didn't focus. I want people to be able to read that. If we give it just a minute, there it goes. Now we can see it.
4 terabytes, people.
Yeah, and it's fast. You know, we're talking 7,000,
Oh, yeah.
7,300, whatever it is. Yeah, 7,300 megabytes per second.
So we peel that off.
We will. Mm-hmm.
Now? Yeah.
Yep. Just wherever we can find an edge here. Usually there's a little tab to pull. There it is.
The snoot? Okay, yeah. Ooh.
Okay. If you're not putting a drive in here, all that's going to do is attract dust and act as an insulator, rendering it useless when you do use it. You can't really clean it.
Okay. And you don't want to put it in up here, Chad, because that's where your heat sink goes in.
Right.
It's below, so don't try to force it here. It's the gold fingers
If
here.
we set that, and it's a little difficult for me to work backwards for the camera.
Take a chance.
It's going to go just like that. I'm going to kind of wiggle and push, and then it's going to, you should be able to just push that. You see how that works?
Yeah, that's nice.
You just push it down.
And yeah.
Can you
Sweet.
zoom in right there? I want to show people how that works. Okay, I'm going to push that down.
Clicky. Okay.
And it's just a little swivel here. It just swivels a quarter turn. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
But then we've got to put the heatsink back on, so we've got to peel the tape, the protective tape over the thermal tape, which had regular tape covering it. Now this little tab here is going to go into the slot above that Uncle Mitch there was trying to warn you. Don't try and jam your drive in there. And then we should be able, once we slide the tab in, to set that gently down.
Boy, that's a big heat sink.
It's giant, isn't it? Yeah. And then we will just secure that back. Don't over tighten this. It just should be...
Till it stops.
Not till it stops. Till it gives you some resistance. Don't torque it any harder than that, because it's really just there to stave off heat, and it's there to look pretty. So,
and boom,
it's
just
not
like
there
that.
To be watertight.
4 beautiful terabytes of storage.
Okay, well,
here's the star of the show right here.
This is the big money, which is our Core i9-13900KS. Now this is currently it's...
And KS means you must use a graphics card, correct?
No. If it had the letter F.
Oh.
Without a graphics card, you're F'd.
Yeah.
So the K means it's unlocked.
Okay.
And the S means it's a special edition, that they don't make these in the quantities they make.
But there is not onboard storage on that chip.
No what?
There's no onboard graphics. Onboard graphics, so you have to...
would be...
You have to use a graphics card.
I'm going to repeat myself. Oh. If it has the letter F, then you're F'd without a graphics card.
Okay.
This does not have a letter F,
so
it does have onboard graphics.
Nice.
You are not F'd.
Yeah.
All right? That's how I want to explain it.
Everybody got that? All right.
No, you want me to talk about it again?
No.
Okay. So there's a magnet holding this close to feel that.
Yeah.
That's how much do they put? Mitch is getting a little old. He's got to get him some protein.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So yes, there's a little magnet in the
Very nice. Yeah.
That's going to look great in the landfill in 300
Yeah,
years. Okay. So we open this up, and it just falls apart.
And this, it said on the back, made in Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
Where I'm going. All right. So
Yes.
that means I can buy one for $2 million dong, because that's their currency. It's their currency, Vietnamese dong, D-O-N-G.
Sounds apt.
You don't blame me? Yeah.
And then in this, there's a little.
Is that plastic or metal? I can't tell.
That's probably. It sounds like plastic.
Okay.
There's a little envelope here, and the winner is everything, everywhere, all at once. So there's there go faster sticker.
Okay.
Right. Too bad they didn't give us a special sticker that emphasizes that this is a special edition.
Okay.
We'll leave that out for now.
Can I open it?
Yeah.
Half turn.
You can do it. You had it upside down.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how you're supposed to. Oh, so the lid, the top of it, says Intel. That's how you know the top from the bottom.
Okay. You can take it. Mm-hmm.
What do you think costs more, this or a gold coin? Gold is what, 2,000 an ounce?
Yeah,
and this is under 1,000. So yeah. I guess you could buy half an ounce of gold for a little bit more than what this costs. And in 10 years, you'll be glad you bought the gold. Not so happy you still have this.
Yeah, in 10 years.
Yeah. It's not going to age as well as the gold as far as value. Let's put this back in there, make it look pretty. Let's see, I think it went in something like that, and like that. No, I didn't do it right. It's not lining up. I guess you got to be in Vietnam to know how these go back together. That's racist. Is it though?
Now when you, yeah. Anyway,
just that they don't want you to return them.
Yeah.
I just don't understand.
Shiny object? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Just gotta put that
right
over there. This is the money shot. That's our Core i9-13900KS limited edition processor, meaning, of course, they don't make as many of these. So if ever a CPU could be a collector's item, you have the 8600K, which I have. You have the 9900KS, which is what's in the streamer. And then we have the 13900KS. Did they make a 12900KS? I can't remember. It didn't last very long with that too. It wasn't like something people talked about very much. I can't even remember. All right, so let's see. If we open up this door this way, this socket's a little different. We're going to bring it up this way. And we need to pop this off now. We're going to go ahead and take this lid off. And of course, we save that.
And, you know, they used to have the notch. You know,
they still do.
They do? I don't see it.
Yeah,
on the chip, yeah. But
it's on the socket and the chip. Wouldn't do you much good if you only had it on one or the other. It can often be found right on the lid. See right there?
Yeah. Yeah,
triangle.
And it's actually right there too.
Yeah, and it'll be on the corner of the chip. Now, for putting these on, I like to use these. This is a little tip from your Uncle Kerry. It's my own little invention. These little suction cups you get on Amazon. I got that whole kit for like $7, I think. And what I'll do is, while this is still in the package, I just suction cup down on that. Then I can lift it up, find that arrow, which goes this way, align it gently into this socket. There are 1,700 little pins in there, so you don't want to put any downward pressure on that. And then it's crooked, so all I have to do is give it a little nudge without any downward pressure, and it falls into the slot. Then we can bring this down, and then you're going to see there's a loop here. If we turn it this way for the crowd, there's a little
tongue and groove sort of thing.
Loop here, and it's going to push that CPU down onto those pins. That's why it's critical that you get it.
And there's going to be some force.
Yeah, you're going to have to exert some pressure.
Don't panic.
It's going to push that down, and we're going to latch that under the hook. And then I'm going to slide the suction cup off so I'm not yanking it off. And that's done.
Just like that.
So $400, $300, $700, $1,400 so far into this build.
Okay.
And we haven't put the RAM in, we haven't got a power supply or a cooler on it, or an operating system yet. So this is not for the light of wallet.
Or faint of heart.
So
I don't think I've seen a 1700, so I'm anxious to. I know it kills you to open something that's new. So, but
yeah. It's not doing me any favors sitting in the box either.
Okay.
We'll just save all the parts and I'll use it on a future build.
Okay.
That's all. But yeah, I need to have this up and running before I go through the effort of ripping that board out and putting this board in, only to find out I got a boot problem or one of the parts is bad. Now, we do these videos live and unscripted. And the reason I do that is I want you to go on this discovery process with me. Are the parts dead on arrival? We don't know. We're going to open them the same way you do at home. Does it take a long time to do it this way? It takes as long as it's going to take you to do it at home. So the only difference is we're for posterity and for sharing the real process of building a PC. We don't want to put any edits in this. We don't want to polish it. We don't want to correct any errors through editing. We want to correct the errors live the way a professional corrects mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Professionals, they don't care. It's like, who cares? It's one more thing they got to fix or address, and it doesn't really hinder them in any way. It's just one more thing you do.
I actually, my first build, I took a chance, built it all, put it in the machine, and had fingers crossed that everything would work. But then when it came time to my second build, then I did what Uncle Kerry said, build it outside of the case, fire it up, make sure everything's working, then go ahead and put in the motherboard, the power supply, and then you've relieved, that everything works before going to all that trouble of putting it in.
Now, generally speaking, I don't advise first-time builders to do that, because when you power down outside the case, you're opening up an opportunity for creating your own problem through shorting something out, and then you've got to sort of dismantle it a little bit to get it into the case by disconnecting the power supply. Most cases are very easy to get in and out of. That case, I have to disconnect all the wires to slide the board out, including removing the heat pump. So it's a pretty big deal. If this was just going into a regular ordinary case and this was a regular ordinary build and we're not using any used parts or parts from questionable sources, you have no reason to think it's not going to work. And by doing this outside of the case, unless you're an experienced professional, there's no justifiable reason to do this outside of the case unless, for example, you're making a video. If we did this in the case, it'd be very difficult for you at home to see anything. So this is mostly done for the benefit of teaching.
And that's a pretty big board, but if you have,
It's a standard size ATX board.
Whether you have a mid tower or certainly a full tower case, you're going to have a lot of room in there. Same with a mid tower. If you put this in the 200R, you're still going to have plenty of space.
Yeah, it's only when you go over it above the norm. Like that case is a $550 case. Most people aren't going to buy that. It's very rare that you'll ever see one of those out in the wild in your lifetime. But the standard cases that people buy, those are very easy to work in, and you should be building in that case, especially if you don't have a lot of experience doing it, because doing it open air like this opens up a lot of opportunity to damage something. Now, if I bought something off eBay or from a questionable source, different story. But I wouldn't do that unless I was a tech. I wouldn't try to save $10 by buying used items or returned items when I have very little experience to know how to diagnose it and what could be potentially wrong with it, like the date problem we had. Right. And I'm relatively experienced with over 30 years in the industry, and that one had me baffled for a good 8 or 10, 5 to 8 hours. I was baffled by that. But then once I learned it, because I work on systems for a living, that knowledge helps me. Since you likely don't work on systems for a living, the knowledge will not help you. You'll go, oh, that's interesting, and then never deal with that ever again. How many systems do most people build in a lifetime? So the benefit of building outside of the case, it really is for teaching purposes so we can film it. If this camera wasn't on, I would be building it outside the case because that case is so hard to work on. But that's an exception because of the case. All the parts are brand new. It's been a long time since I've had any dead on arrival or DOA parts. And the last couple, I think, were power supplies. And even that's been a while. So we're going to reuse the power supply from the previous build that's in that case now, as well as the liquid pump that's in there. Everything else is new.
Okay.
All right. So I suppose we can put the heatsink on just because we need to put a heatsink on it for us to fire it up and test it. So we've got a Mugen 5. This is the Revision C, the Silver Edition. They did drop the price on the Black Edition. It was $64.99 or yeah, it was $64.99, I think. And now it's $59.99, and it's been that way. It looks like it's its new price now. I think they're getting really low sales. People just aren't spending money right now. So they've dropped the Black Edition by $5, and it does appear to be the new normal price at Amazon.
And they are available.
Like plenty.
Okay.
Yeah,
plenty.
like I said, it looks like by my guess, the reason they lowered the price $5 is that sales are staggering. So because sales are staggering, it's likely they have a lot of them in stock.
Okay.
They don't typically run low on stock and then lower the price. Usually it goes the other way around. But that's all speculation. I'm just guessing. So you've seen me do this a million times before. I don't think we need to get into all the detail on this. In this case, actually, let me just move this aside. So you haven't seen the 1700?
No.
So what they've done is they've given us a new backplate,
okay,
where it's spaced out a little differently than the 1200. And so it's essentially, you know, the Revision A, Revision B, Revision C are essentially the same cooler. And what they've done is they've given us one more set of brackets. So instead of 2 pairs of brackets, we now have 3 pairs of brackets. Okay. So we're covering AMD, Intel 115X and 1200, and then a whole separate bracket system just for Intel 1700.
Okay.
And then the back plate, you can kind of tell what they've done here. Oh, our back plate kind of fell apart. That shouldn't come out of the package like this. These should already be preset. And as you can see, the screws can move into 2 different positions. The position that's closest to the center, that's for the smaller socket, 1200 and 1100, you know, 115X. Out of the package, it's socket 1700 ready. Again, this just fell out for some reason, but it's no big deal to put it back because out of the package, it's ready for socket 1700. This screw has a little shoulder on it and it's gonna fit. When you twist it, it'll line up and fit in there. And you see I've aligned the screw towards the outside edge. Again, outside is the socket 1700 size. And if I move this to the inside, and again, I will twist it until it locks in.
I'll get you the bumper.
That right there is on the inside. You see, it's only a space of a couple millimeters. So for that, they had to completely redesign the installation kit. So then there's this little plastic piece that holds that screw into place, and it looks like this. And we're simply going to slide that right over like so. That's how it's supposed to come out of the package, right? So then all you have to do is flip the board back like so. And this is only a 1-person job now, where it used to be a 2-person job. And you'll just, doesn't matter if you put it on this way or this way, it's the same. Just drop it in and flip the board back over. How easy was that? Now in this bag, and keep in mind, we've got parts for 3 different, for Intel, AMD, and 3 different types of Intel sockets. Okay. All right, so hold that bag aside for right now. In this bag, we're not going to use all the parts in these bags because they're designed depending on which socket you have. So we need these little plastic spacers. Yeah, and they've got a little rubber bottom on one side and a hard plastic on the other. So the rubber bottom is the side that goes towards the motherboard. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide these on like so, and you might catch a little resistance pushing them down, and they're going to hold that back plate in place for us like so. And then you see all these other screws here? We just need these top thumb screws. That's all we're going to use. If we were using AMD, we'd use these long screws on AMD, and we would use these weird little double-sided standoffs on the 2011 and the 20 series super high-end like Intel X-Core processors and such, that Xeons and stuff like that. The workstation, really expensive. So these are extra for us. Somebody else might need them and then not need, sorry. They're always likely going to need those thumb screws. But okay, so now that we've established that, that's where we can get to the bag you've got. Now the bag you've got has 3 pairs of brackets. 1 pair for AMD, 1 pair for the typical Intel, very common Intel 11.5X and 1200 socket, and 1 pair is for socket 1700 only. Go ahead and put those on the table, spread them out. All right, you see that pair that looks like an open set of parentheses? That's AMD. We're not using those, so you can put those back in the bag. AMD. Now, the next pair that has these multiple holes, that's for your typical socket 115X and socket 1200, which we don't use, so those go. What that leaves us, pretty straightforward. These 2 brackets are what's used to basically put right on top of these screws over here, like that.
With the notch inward.
Yeah, and the bump facing up. See, there's a bump in there. You want the bump face, because there could be things standing up and you don't want to, like capacitors, you don't want to hit those. And you don't want to put this in this way. Does that even fit? Oh, it does fit. That's new. So before I lock this down, I want to make sure that I'm right. It's been a while on this socket 1700s. I haven't done very many of them. We want to make sure that when we go to put our heatsink on, you get the heatsink out of the box here. We want to make sure that when we put the heatsink on, we want our fan to go here. See how that juts out right there? And we want our airflow to go in like this and go out the back of the board. If we pull the camera down, we want our airflow to go this way. So that means that these screws here on the heatsink need to go into the holes in the center of these brackets. So if these brackets are on this way, then that would force our heatsink to be pushing the air up or down instead of left or right. So that's how you can tell. Okay, so when I put this down, these screws are going to lock into those center holes, and the fan's going to go here, and it's going to draw air in across here towards the back of the case and out. So that is how you know your orientation. We always want to blow air out towards the I/O shield, if that's a helpful direction for you. So now that we've confirmed that, we can put these little thumb screws on top of the screws that are sticking up to lock these brackets in. Now at this point, you're still not going to use much force in the way of how tight you're tightening screws. This is electronics. This is not mechanics. This is not designed to be watertight or airtight. We just want it to be secure.
With our included screwdriver.
Yeah, so also in the box included with the Mugen is a really nice screwdriver. It's magnetic. There's no particular order you need to worry about turning the screws in, just pretty much till they don't turn. Just like that. Very simple, very quick, and it's a very good cooler. Now, I would not use this cooler on this chip permanently because this cooler is going to be most coolers are going to be inadequate for this CPU. really want an all-in-one liquid cooler, and those only last about 5 years on average, and got to replace them. Even when the pump still works, the liquid starts to go, it gets algae, it starts to evaporate. Oh,
50%.
yeah, it's fine. And then we've got the instructions, which I haven't used, and I'll just keep those in a box. And since I know I'm going to reuse this cooler, I'll just keep everything together so in some future build we can reuse it. Did you say 50%?
50%.
Oh, that's lots. She has battery anxiety, like big time.
I just wanted to let
Oh
you
my gosh,
know.
we're at 50%.
Just giving you a heads up.
All right, I appreciate it. Nothing to worry about. It's all good.
You need a glove?
I do.
You need all the gloving you can get.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, please. What's great about this, about the design of the Mugen 5, is if you notice how they've cut away the edges so that if you have this on a system that has RAM on each side, it won't interfere with the RAM over here. It's such a thoughtful design. It won't interfere with any heat sinks on any board I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
It just works. It's such a smart design, and you get a good amount of money, a good amount of value for the money here. Because not only does the heat sink, is it built well, it's very affordable and it's super easy to install. It's a fantastic heat sink in this price range for all of those reasons. Now, it's a bit small for a processor that consumes the amount of power this one has the potential to use. That doesn't mean that that's how we're going to use it. So for our intents and purposes for today's video, installing Windows and things, the processor will ramp up and down, and this cooler's fine. But if we were doing something like running Prime 95 on it, where we're just hammering on the CPU at full speed, yeah, we're going to run into a thermal situation. So this is really just so we can get the board prepped. I will put a liquid cooler on it, as this chip really should have. And as you can see, I just set it on there just so you can see that nothing is going to interfere with it anywhere around the board, and nor will you ever find a motherboard where this CPU cooler won't fit. It's just that good of a design. AMD or Intel, yep. Okay, so let me take that off of there for now, and let's get some thermal compound on this bad boy. Oh, is it time for your inspection?
I'm not turning my head and coughing. All right, so.
Oh no, that's not necessary.
Yeah, okay.
Not for this test. You do that a little too well.
Yeah.
Anything in your background you want to tell us about? Anything you want to share today?
Later, all right.
I think that's plenty.
Yeah.
I use a nitrile, non-sterile.
Nitro.
Nitrile?
NyQuil.
And I just finger paint so I get 100% even coverage. If you just put the dab and you squish it down, you might end up with a whole side of your CPU that has more thermal compound and a side that has none at all, and there's no way for you to see it. There's no way for you to know. So ignorance is bliss on this. You can't see it, so therefore it's fine, unless you're having heat issues. That's the mentality of the internet. So because I'm a computer technician and I've been working in this field for over 30 years and I am held accountable and liable for the systems I build, this is how I do it. And when you want to take over my warranties, you can tell me how to do it. I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm just telling you how I do it. And you'll see I tapped on that and I created little peaks and valleys. And what's going to happen when I push the CPU heatsink on there is it's going to spread it out almost the same as, you know, your typical dab. Now, most tests, if you test this yourself, if you don't believe me, how you apply your thermal compound does not really matter so much as whether or not you apply too little or too much. I like half your face, though. I like how you got. Trying to think of what that movie was where the person has the top of their head's gone. So that's how I do it, and that's why I do it that way. It's coming from an experienced computer technician, not an enthusiast, and you can choose to treat that advice with as much value as you think it has. It makes no difference in my career. I'm going to go ahead and just set this down now, once again making sure that the fan will be on the side with the RAM. And using the included screwdriver that the folks at Mugen include with the cooler, we're going to slide this down through here, and we're going to just give that a couple little turns. Not too many, I just want to get it started. I think I got it started, and we'll come over here. Now these, we want to just tighten these down evenly. Now, again, even though my intention is only to keep this on here temporarily, still want to do it right. I'm just going to try and go back and forth and tighten each side. These will eventually come to a dead stop, so you cannot over tighten them. It's another great thing about the Mugen cooler. It's not true of all coolers. Some coolers let you just keep tightening and tightening until you crack your motherboard. So, and this does need to be under a certain amount of pressure to cool effectively. And you also may have noticed, because I didn't say anything, when I took the tape off the bottom, there's tape that was on the bottom of this cooler that keeps the surface clean of any dust, fingerprints, skin, contaminants. Yeah. And so when we applied thermal compound, I removed that protective tape. I've had computers brought in where the tape was still on. So just because your computer turns on and boots doesn't mean you built it correctly. So those are little details you got to pay attention to. None of it is rocket science. It's just really attention to detail. Let's see. So we can put the fan on. So I have the fan. What do I do? Oh, it's right here. And we've got these little wire hangers, I call them. And we just latch those onto the sides. One goes here. One goes there. Same with the other side. And I'm doing this on, I know it's these sides because I want this cable to come out over here in this corner, so I don't run the cable all across and around. And I'm going to set this. If you look on the top of the Mugen, it's got a neat little cutout where the fan is meant to just rest inside of the cutout. And of course, the mounting screw that we just turned, you can rest the fan right on top of that screw and then pull these little wire hangers back into the fins, and it locks it in place. Now I'm going to remove this wire tie. We don't want any wires or wire ties inside of our build because these get brittle over time and they fall apart, and they're bare metal and they can short something out. Could happen in years, especially here in the dry desert. It's very common. So anytime you have these little wire ties, I highly recommend you replace them with nylon zip ties. Because if a nylon zip tie gets break and brittles, it won't have the possibility of shorting anything out. Now this separate color fan here, fan header, that's our CPU fan header. Now you've noticed I'm not looking at any documentation at anything so far. That's how simple building a computer is. There's no shame in it. If you want to look up documentation, you should. But it should be pretty obvious. And if not, well...
It says it's right on the board.
Yeah, and fine writing on the edge of the board. It will tell you what everything is. Every connector on the board should have writing above the connector or beside, to the left or to the right, explaining what it is. And of course, if you don't have the manual, just Google it, go to the manufacturer's website, pull it up online, and it should all be made clear. Or just go to YouTube and find somebody like me that's explaining it in that level of detail. If I did that, we'd be here till 8 o'clock at night. So I do have to keep things moving because even at that, we're going to be 2, 3, 4 hours.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to open up these retention levers on both sides of our RAM sockets. And we're going to use all 4 RAM sockets. You want to do the magical unboxing for me, and I will put the rest of this spare parts back into
The blade. I must have a blade.
Oh yeah, I guess you need a box cutter. There you go. Do you need some Band-Aids too, or you might see a doctor about that one. I think they have pills for that now.
Cut away, cut away.
William Lynn says, "Hi, Mitch. Long time no see."
Yeah.
Mitch is like, "I have never seen you."
No, I got thinking about it, and it was New Year's Eve day. We did a show.
Was that the last one we did?
Yeah.
Has it been almost 3 months?
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Ah. Beautiful. We're you, and one for me.
All right, let's
Got to open the other one too, but
see. Somewhere in here there should be a, oh, right here at the end there's a little catch. This is very tall RAM and could very easily get in the way of a cooler. So be aware, this RAM is about twice the height of ordinary RAM because, you know, you got to have RGB, right? There doesn't appear to be any plastic protection on it, so that's good. There's nothing to peel. I'm happy with that. Now these are designed to work together in pairs. All right.
And is this RGB?
It is.
Okay.
As well as the side there.
Okay.
Now, because the pairs on these are separated, I'm going to start on the inside. These only go in one direction. You cannot put them in wrong. They won't sit properly. So first we align the track gently. And it looks like, I can't tell, but it looks like it, does it go in the other way? It's a very weird angle for me to do this. No, I had it right the first time. All right, so this is going to go in like so. So align it into the track first before you apply any pressure. Once you've got it, so the notch in the RAM matches the notch in the socket, and you're in the track effortlessly, then use your thumbs and push down. Takes a little bit of elbow grease here. You'll hear it click. You hear the other side click. The next RAM socket is for the next set of RAM, so we want to skip this RAM socket and go to the next one. That's why I started closest to the CPU cooler, because otherwise it'd be a very tight fit to do this one.
That's if
anything other than first.
That's if you were just using 2 sticks, but we're using 4 sticks, so you could put all 4 in, right? Because we're filling up.
We're gonna put in all 4, but what I'm saying is we do not want to put this one in next.
Okay.
To the next slot. We want to skip a slot because these are paired together.
Gotcha.
They were sold together because they were paired together. Can't see that way. So I am doing this backwards and blind, but I will do my best so that the audience can see. You guys can see it way better than I can. I'm gonna just feel it, put it in, one side, other side. Now,
Knife.
2 RAM sockets left and 2 RAM modules left. You can guess where those go, right? There's also some documentation in here, Mitch,
Okay.
which is right there. And we'll just keep that with the rest of the documentation.
The notch. Ooh. Come out of there. No, don't be shy.
You notice how Mitch is bending the plastic and not bending the RAM. RAM is very expensive. The plastic we're going to throw away. So you absolutely, if you have difficulty getting any RAM out of any package, always bend the package.
Battery's out.
What's that?
Battery's out.
I mean, you're still broadcasting. I think that's pretty good timing. Are you tired? Does your hand hurt?
I'm fine. It's just the battery is saying, woo.
Yeah. Let's see how far it'll go. I'm good. I'm keeping
You
it.
living dangerously?
Yeah, we'll live dangerously. We can switch to camera 1 at any time. So unless you were getting tired, I'm going to go ahead and go into this narrow slot right here between the 2 modules and get the difficult one out of the way. I could have just opened the other package, and likely because they're all made by the same company, it really doesn't matter. But because they were tested in pairs, they weren't tested in quads.
Right.
We want to align the 2 pairs, keep the pairs together. And if you have a bad memory module, you will send it back with its matching one.
Right.
And they're matched by serial number. So you can't just grab another one that's the same model. They will kick it back to you, denied. So they can, you know, if you have one bad one and they're sold as a matching pair, they need both modules back so they can send you another matching pair.
Now we might as well zip tie this up because you don't.
No, because this is only on here temporarily.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be bothered with
Right.
that. All right, now the camera died. There we go.
Okay.
See? We knew that was coming. Hold on, folks. There we are.
It lasted for maybe 2 or 3 extra minutes.
You know what? For that little tiny battery,
yeah, I mean,
as
it's
long as
quite impressive.
yeah, I can't complain. So thank you for your camera
Yeah.
work. I think we're done with the close-up camera anyway. Now we're ready to hook up a power supply and give this our first
You've got a 750 and a 500.
Either one of those is going to work fine. I mean, let's grab the 750 just because more power. Charles says, hello, Carrie. It's Charles from South Africa. I enjoy your instructive videos. I find them most intriguing. Right on. Well, thank you, Charles. Dusty, huh?
Indubitably.
Yeah, well, you know.
Okay.
They've already seen the floor. How much worse can it get? You can't embarrass me now.
No.
All right, so we've got two 8-pin power connectors. Does this even have two EPS?
Good question.
Don't confuse your EPS power with your PCIe power. That's a 6 plus 2. We need a 4 plus 4. Ah, look at that. We do have two of them. Who makes this? This is Silverstone ET750 80 plus bronze. Is that gold? Bronze or gold?
Bronze.
Bronze. So relatively inexpensive, non-modular power supply, perfect for what we're doing today. Of course, we're using the Cougar power supply in the Cougar case because it all color matches. So this is just for testing. And I got no problem with this power supply. If you're on a budget, you probably wouldn't be building a 13900KS, but you know, to each his own. I got a Ferrari, but I can't afford to put gas in it, so. All right, and then the big motherboard connector, which is universally the same. I gotta say, on these cheaper power supplies, you know, it's kind of ugly. Normally there's one braided cable here, but when you get a cheaper power supply, you're sort of gonna deal with some cables that perhaps aren't as attractive. But this Silverstone, they make good power supplies at that price range. You get what you pay for. But I will say, at least you're getting from a known manufacturer versus some company you never heard of before. Now, the last thing we have to do is plug in HDMI cable, our keyboard and our mouse, and then give this power. Oh, we need a power switch. I have a power switch. Now for this, I need glasses so I can see those little pins on the motherboard.
It's pretty tiny, yeah.
Super, super tiny. Now there's 4 wires on this switch because it's got an optional LED. Should I hook up the LED? Sure, let's hook it up. Let's hook it up.
It's Friday. So.
I'm a nerd, so, you know, any opportunity to plug super, super tiny wires that looks really complex, it's super easy, folks. Just the top row of connectors. Okay. You never mix the top and bottom row. The connectors always go on either the top or the bottom. They do not connect the top and bottom row ever on regular ATX and micro ATX motherboards. That's almost universal, like an unwritten rule. Okay. And that's going to light up when we turn it on. The switch has a little LED around it. Okay. If I didn't hook up the red and black wire here on the far left, then the switch will work, but the LED on the switch won't work. So it's optional to have the LED on. And then I need the power to the power supply. Power supply is in the off position, Mitch?
On a 0.
That's off. O for off. That's good. And then there's the power plug. And then we need an HDMI cable, which I have on the floor here.
And I will get the keyboard and mouse.
HDMI cable. Where did I put you? Oh, here it is. And we'll put that right over here into the back of the board. So bring this around here. HDMI here. And the wireless keyboard and mouse dongle will go right there. Any USB port, but I'll use the USB 2 ports since you're not going to type any faster on a USB 3 port, are you? Okay, this is the moment of truth.
Not the smoke test. It is a smoke test.
This is the smoke test. As we all know, computers run on smoke. So if you let the smoke out.
I better stand back. All right.
Yeah, you better alert my bank account because if this doesn't work, it's going to cost me a lot of money. Go ahead and flip the switch.
Okay. Do you want to put us in the corner?
Just go ahead and flip the switch on the power supply.
Did the doodad light up? No, it didn't light up.
Well, we didn't turn it on yet. We only turned the power supply on. You didn't turn the motherboard on.
Okay.
So if anything was wired incorrectly or shorted out, it could potentially be a hazard. You know, when you see me build on the box, I do so that I'm not scratching up my expensive countertop, and also because the box is a natural non-conductive surface. Now, if you build in the case like I told you you should, you wouldn't have these potential issues. But if you put this on a metal countertop, or if you've got a screwdriver underneath your board you forgot about, or something metal that's shorting out, just by doing that, by giving the board, by turning the power supply on, this board has power going through it right now. Even though it's not on, when you turn any modern electronics off, like your television, it still has power running through it. That's why when you turn it on, it comes on so quick. Remember the old days? Turn the TV on and wait for it to warm up.
Yep.
Picture, it's like watching a Polaroid picture develop. Picture got brighter and brighter and brighter. And the top of the TV got so hot you could roast a chicken.
Yep.
All right.
The good old days.
They don't make them like that anymore. You know, parents told you don't sit so close to the TV. There's radiation coming off of it. It's not good for you. Okay, so I don't need that mouse. I need this mouse. And we're going to go over to the HDMI input. And then what I'll do is I'll put us up in a corner here,
okay,
so people can see both what we're doing and what the board is doing. So we'll just put us up here like so. Okay. On your time. There he goes, folks.
One tap.
I see the CPU fan spinning.
Ooh,
I should have turned it this way, shouldn't I?
Ah, for the RAM.
Now, your very first boot could take 60 to 90 seconds, so because it's not coming on as quick as it will later, don't freak out. Relax.
No
Give
touchy.
it 60 to 90 seconds.
While it figures what's on the board, what chip, what RAM.
It is
Thinking. It's thinking, yeah.
It's training. It's what we call training the CPU and RAM. It's really training the BIOS to what CPU and RAM and adjusting, and then it resets itself. As you noticed, you probably saw it shut off and come back on. Perfectly normal on a first-time boot. Everything is working so far exactly as I expect it to. And it could shut itself back off 2-3 times, depending on what make and model of board you have. So if it's not going to boot, we'll know soon enough here. But that RAM is DDR5. And you notice it didn't really look any different than DDR4.
Yeah.
I didn't even mention it because I didn't think about it. It goes, to the naked eye, it looks exactly like DDR4.
Now it's shut off and went again.
Did it?
Turned on again.
Okay, it may do that up to 3 times. Now, if it continues to do that indefinitely, we have a problem.
Yeah.
But right now, there's nothing to freak out about yet. Are you freaking out?
It's pretty.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to like put something out on the screen, and we're not seeing anything yet. So we'll just give this a minute. And yeah, you can already see people are giving advice on how to fix a problem. We didn't have any problem, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what impatience will do to you. Impatience will cause you problems. All you need to do is listen to Uncle Kerry with 30 plus years of experience, and all your fear and anxiety will go away. Knowledge is power. Now, I'm going to get rid of camera 1 here so we can see this BIOS. Yeah, I need to use the right mouse though. Once I get the mouse figured out, it's the technical stuff I got down. It's the simple stuff I struggle with. If a door says push, I'll be pulling on it for hours trying to figure out why it won't open. All right. Now, first thing I want to do, of course, is what? What do I want to do?
See what BIOS is currently on the board.
Ding, ding, ding. That's correct. So I can't see that very well. Let me make this bigger for us. Let's make it full screen. And it says we are on BIOS FB. Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Frederick
Baker.
That's what it looks like. It does see all of our RAM sticks running at 4800 and shows our 13th gen Intel 13900KS all there in the upper left corner. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go over to the streamer, and I'm going to go to the browser, and I'm going to go over to Google, and I'm going to type in the name of the board, which I don't have to type the manufacturer because
You got the number.
the model is unique to the manufacturer. So Z790 AORUS
Elite.
Elite AX, right?
Yep.
And when I do that, the very first link that Google. I'm not talking about whatever search engine you guys are using. I use Google because the search results are so accurate most of the time. The first link is often what I want, unless it's an ad. And it is. It's the very first link Google presents is taking us right to the Gigabyte product page. Now I can share the screen with everybody, and I'll show you what I'm going to look for. I'm going to turn on the window capture. And then right now you're still looking at the BIOS at home. Mitch and I are seeing a bunch of different windows here. Chat room and OBS and the BIOS screen. We have multiple bits of information we've got to look at here. Let me turn on the window capture. Is that not working for me? Hold on, it's a blank screen because I didn't click the right thing. That's where I want to be, right there. And so we're going to go, we're on the Z790 AORUS Elite AX. You got to make sure you get every letter of that right. There may be a non-AX version of this board. It just depends on what model you're using and who makes it. But Asus, MSI, ASRock, Gigabyte, I'll do pretty much the same thing. They'll have a support up here, service and support, that's generic. And then there'll be a support down here, that's specific support for that product that you're looking at. So we're going to click on that support, and we want a BIOS. So we're just going to scroll down. Now on Asus and other sites, you have to look up here. But on Gigabyte, we just scroll down and we look for BIOS. It says there's been 4 of them so far. We only need the latest one, unless it says otherwise. And here's what concerns me, Mitch, is I don't see
FB.
I don't see FB. And one of the things I look for when I'm confirming I've got the right page up is I want to see the BIOS I've got now. And this is typically done on purpose. So I want to look again, Z790 AORUS Elite AX. I mean, that matches. I see F5, F3, F2, and F1. I don't see letters like FA, FB, FC. So that's got me a little worried if I'm on the right product page. Now, generally speaking, if you have the wrong BIOS selected, typically when you try to flash it, it'll say, So we'll probably be okay, but this is very, very strange and a good reason for broadcasting live. So you can see some of the challenges that I see. Unless it mentions anything about FB over here. Interesting. I don't see anything in that regards. It says the launch is F1. Z790 AORUS Elite AX.
And F5 just came out March 9th.
Well, let's grab F5, assuming, I don't have an answer for this, so I'm going to go ahead and extract this locally and then copy the BIOS file. I only need the largest file in that zip package. I only need the one file. So I'm going to plug in, wrong computer, I'm going to go over to the streamer and plug in my BIOS flash drive. I still got a flash drive in from the other day. Wonder what I use that for. I'm going to plug this in to the streamer, and we're going to copy the BIOS file off. And bear with me here. So the folks at home can't see any of these open windows. They're just looking at the website because OBS is very specific about capture settings. So you're not inadvertently sharing something you didn't know you were sharing. And what I'm going to do is just copy the biggest file here, which is 32 megabytes. That's a big BIOS file. And I'm just going to paste that right on to the root of my formatted BIOS flash drive, which is all I use this flash drive for. That way I can't make a mistake by picking up the wrong file. And let's see, let's go back to camera 1. Here we go. What happened to, oh, that's camera 2. There's camera 1. And let's go to full screen on this. Okay. Now let me jump into the chat and see if they're yelling at me that I'm missing something.
I know that said FB.
Oh, I know what it said too. FB is the first release, I think, says Awakened in the chat room. says that motherboard has Wi-Fi. This motherboard has Wi-Fi. That's what the AX in the model number. I thought we cleared that up when we first started. Maybe you weren't here earlier. So yes. Wintermute says 1.0 BIOS is FB and FC. I don't know where they're getting this information, but I'll believe it. Sure, why not?
Well,
Sounds
like,
good.
Like you said, nowadays, it probably, if that's the wrong BIOS,
It won't let us.
It won't let us.
Yeah,
the
it'll
old days, it might have, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but then you'd a brick.
Yeah.
But they figured out, they got enough complaints.
They got
where
enough support issues
that they want
cost them money.
So they're like, this now,
This
we'll
will
tell you
cost
this
less.
is the wrong BIOS. And so, yeah.
They're not doing it for you. They're doing it for the profit line
Yeah.
and customer service. It says click the revision number on the website. So apparently Wintermute says if you click the revision number, it explains that. So sure, it sounds good to me. Thank you for the information. Like I said, if it doesn't work, we'll know. Yeah. So I'm going to go back over now to the HDMI input, and then I'm going to make us small again. We'll put us, I don't know, where should we put us? Let's put us down here maybe. Let's go like that. Okay, I've got the flash drive plugged in, and I'm just giving it a second to initialize. And then I have to go full screen so Mitch and I can see the screen. Hey, there it is. And I'm going to go over to this side here where it says Q Flash F8. So pressing F8 on the keyboard or clicking this with the mouse. And then it says the current flash is for the Z790 AORUS Elite AX, BIOS version FB. BIOS date is January 10th, 2023. This is all latest and greatest stuff. It is a 32 meg size BIOS, and we did have a 32 meg file. I'm going to click Update BIOS. It does see the BIOS on the flash drive. That's the only thing on the flash drive, so there's no confusion. Give it a double click. And in just a second, if I double click it, it says, are you sure to update BIOS? It's weird English. Are you sure to update BIOS?
Are you sure you wanna?
It says, are you sure to...
WANNA, that's a go.
Are you sure to update BIOS?
Okay.
Yes, BIOS up. It's like a Google search.
Yeah. Yes.
Bitcoin, how much?
Yeah.
How buy Bitcoin? How sell Bitcoin? Have you seen what Bitcoin's doing?
Yeah, I think I've...
Just let a couple of banks collapse, and all of the naysayers of Bitcoin are really quiet right now. It's gone up 10 grand. And then Bitcoin will collapse, and then they'll be like, oh, this is why you shouldn't buy Bitcoin. It's fun to watch the sheep. So predictable. Squirrel. All right, so I'm going to click yes, I'm sure, and now it's going to read the BIOS and verify that it's the right BIOS. Now you see it says there's an ID check error. That usually indicates that we do not have the right BIOS. I just want to make sure. I'm going to try it one more time in case we had some kind of a read problem here. Are you sure to update BIOS? Yes. If it fails again, and it fails, it suggests to us that we have the wrong BIOS. So that's where your anxiety can relax. It could also mean that the file's corrupted, that either the download was corrupted or the extraction corrupted, if in fact FB indicates that that's the first version. However, there's usually a revision on the board. It could be revision 1, revision 2. With a board this new, seems unlikely we'd have a revision other than 1.0, but it's possible and maybe worthy of looking into. So what I want to do is I want to go back to a little sleuthing here and see what's going on. Things just got interesting. And Awaken says, yes, it's revision 1.1. So it appears, in fact, you know what? Let's go full screen on camera 1 because this is an important point to make for your average ordinary computer user, and that is you can have the exact model number, right? It is a Z790 AORUS Elite AX, and completely go to the wrong page that says everything right, except that one little detail. Remember, I said none of this is rocket science. You just have to pay attention to the details. And Awakened has done the work for us.
Shouldn't it say on the box revision 1, or probably it won't?
It'll say it on the board. It probably says it right here on the sticker. So
get your glasses.
Yeah, I'll get my glasses. And I'm going to just take a quick look-see. AORUS Elite Revision 1.1. It says it right here. It probably also says it on some writing on the board somewhere. Yeah. And Gigabyte will tell you where to look for that.
Yeah. So
It's a shame when you don't. Look, if I was running the Gigabyte and I didn't call this ZC790, I would put in big letters, revision 1. Like, you don't need to do that on the original. But the minute you come up with a follow-up that changes hardware that you want to keep the model the same, it's super fine print. You got to know to look for it.
So it's 1.
Now, how much do you want to bet? If I go back to Gigabyte and I look for revision 1.1 of this board, I will see FB as the BIOS version.
As
a previous BIOS.
I believe that's correct, sir.
So when you see me download a BIOS, I'm always looking in the history for the one I have as reassurance I'm on the right page. And I was hesitant, wasn't I? I was like, this doesn't seem right. But Wintermute's saying, oh, well, that's what they call revision 1. Okay. It's not like I'm risking anything by trying it because it just won't let us. Don't try and force it. Take the hint and go back to the site and look again. So, I understand, we're all trying to help, and it certainly saved me some time because otherwise I might still be looking, and that's just not very riveting of a video. So we're going to go back to...
because it says right there, revision 1.0.
Correct.
So now...
Right, and I don't normally pay attention to revisions because normally there aren't revisions unless the product is...
The board's a board.
Unless the product is older, right? So, so looking up here at revision 1.0, it's a little frustrating. Remember, I used Google to get me here, right? So I can search right here and type in Z790 AORUS Elite AX, and you'll see the options that come up here. And we do have a revision 1.1, which is what we have. So when I click on that, that now takes us to a nearly identical
page,
in every way except for one little thing has changed. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Now, when we go back over here to support and we go scroll down under BIOS, there's only 2 BIOSes here, and they are letters. So usually, if the BIOS is numbers or the BIOS is letters, this is your first indication whether or not you're on the right site. To suggest that FB was originally what they called revision 1, or BIOS version 1, I was quite skeptical when I heard that, but open-minded to say, well, who knows what they do? It's possible. So FC is the latest BIOS. So that came out just a few days ago. We're going to go ahead and download that bad boy. And once again, we'll repeat back our process to copy that, extract it and copy the BIOS file to the flash. And I do think, participants in the chat, because this is an example of some of the stuff that gets edited out that affects everybody. This is going to confuse, unless you're just dealing with Gigabyte on a regular basis and you're familiar with their current product line. I haven't built a system in a few months, and this has all changed in a few months. I'm going to go ahead and take a copy of that FC BIOS, and we're going to move that onto the flash drive. Now, of course, everybody at home is still looking at that website, because I can't capture this screen. So bear with me here for a second, and then we'll close those screens out, and we're gonna go back over to camera 1, like that. Okay, now I'm gonna go back over to the streamer, unplug my BIOS flash drive, and we're gonna plug it right back in. And you notice I've never turned this off. We're still just idling here. And I'm gonna let that synchronize, let it initiate, handshake. Then I'm going to go back to the screen here. So we're going to turn on this mouse. This is the one. We're going to go back to the HDMI input. And once again, I'll put us in a corner here. Like so. I can make us, we don't need to be that scene. Go like that. Okay. Now I can go full screen, so Mitch and I can see full screen. Ooh, look at the wind out there.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to click OK, and I'm going to hit escape on the keyboard for me, would you? One more time. Oh, it's not going to do it. Okay. Now I'm going to go back into QFlash. Update BIOS. Down there's FC. See how the last where the period is, the extension is typically, in almost all cases, not always, but almost always, the BIOS version. Double clicky, are you sure? Now it should pass the check. No big deal. It says this is the BIOS version you've got. This is the BIOS version you're talking about putting on. Press to start. In order to complete the update, your system's going to shut down and QFlash will continue after restart, okay? Okay. Now you get the big no signal screen coming from the capture card because the motherboard's no longer sending a video signal out. Leave the flash drive plugged in. Don't touch anything. Leave it alone. It's very expensive and patience is key. I cannot emphasize that enough. This bigger BIOS could take much longer than what you might be accustomed to with an older PC. These BIOSes are getting more complex, and at least we have a nice update status here. Be patient, go ahead and grab yourself something to drink, use the bathroom, I don't know, go blow your nose,
Meditate.
do a little personal hygiene and come back. It's all good. Anytime now, you want to do that personal hygiene, it'd be great.
Okay.
He's very clean.
Yeah.
That's me. That's definitely me.
You said it, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't sweat the small stuff. You know what? I need another Gatorade.
I need a...
Until I'm sweating this,
Yeah.
my sweat needs to come out green.
May I have a water, please? I'm very parched.
You're parched?
I'm parched.
If you were a bird, would you be perched?
Yeah.
Let's see, Gatorade for Carrie. What's in that Gatorade, Carrie? There's something in there other than Gatorade. How about a Fiji, mister?
Ooh, very snuffy.
The fancy
schmancy.
elite water. Let's get this as close as we can to the motherboard because it's liquid Kool-Aid.
You filled this with a garden hose, right?
Hey, do you know how much a garden hose is?
I just want to see if it's hermetically sealed.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay.
I took it out of the pool earlier.
This actually is slower than a lot of BIOS, but it was a bigger file, right? The 60-something megabytes, or
if I have to drive 60 miles and it takes me twice as long to get somewhere that was 30 miles, is that because I drove slower?
I flunked math. I don't know, in kindergarten, so.
You had math in kindergarten?
Yeah. As soon as they
invented a tough school.
The calculator, that's all I need.
I had to draw within the lines.
Wow, so did I.
Still don't do that.
I couldn't crayon and stay in the lines, so I got marked out.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's because I'm left-handed, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's the excuse, yeah.
Southpaw. I'm kind of ambidextrous.
Okay.
When I wear a watch, I wear it on my right hand, but I'm right-handed. But when I play baseball, I bat left-handed, but I catch like a right-handed catcher.
What do you bowl? Right-handed?
I bowl right-handed.
How can that be?
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's very weird.
Freaks me out. Yeah.
I'm just different.
You dropped on your head as a kid.
My mother told me I was special.
Or she wouldn't have told you if she did. All right.
All right. So now, well, she's not talking now.
No.
So we're rebooting right now. So we've got the no signal. Motherboard is now processing. Still updating the BIOS. We still leave everything alone. No touchy.
Mm-hmm.
No touchy. Be patient. Calm down.
It'll work. Or it's Carrie's fault.
Hey, it's my money.
Yeah.
It's my money, and I will waste it if I want to. Don't worry. It won't take long. I don't have that much to waste. But so this is going to work fine. You just have to be patient. It's key. A very big key to being a computer technician is having the patience to listen to your clients tell you what they think is wrong. I don't want to hear what you think is wrong. Just tell me, what's the computer not doing that you're expecting it to do? Let me figure out what's wrong with it. So you got to be patient.
So while we wait, smoke them if you got them.
This shouldn't take very long. You know, for a very fast system, it's ironic that the updates.
The RAM just turned off again.
Uh-huh.
Now it turned back on.
Yeah, and we should still be down in that corner. Let me see. Yeah, we're still down in the corner over here. So they can see that we're still live. Everything's going as it should. And then while we're looking, let me switch back over to the chat room because thank you for the help in the chat room again. I appreciate it.
The man, Michael Dane. Mitch, how about a joke? You want a joke of the day?
Here he goes.
Okay. How does a hippopotamus get a tusk?
How does a hippopotamus get a tusk?
It has rhinoplasty.
What do you get if you mix an elephant and what do you get if you mix an elephant with a rhinoceros? Elephino.
Albino. One more. Why did the egg cross the road?
Why did the egg cross the road?
For the shell of it.
That guy, Brian Kiley, he goes, you know, I drove by the house I grew up in. I knocked on the door and I said, hi, I used to live here as a child, and would you mind if I came in and kind of looked around? And reluctantly, my parents let me in.
Yeah. Chad, you got to look up this guy. If you really like comedians with jokes, set up, punch.
Wait a minute, comedians with jokes. When did that start?
Yeah. Instead of stories, jokes, humorous stories. But this guy, set up, punch, and they're good. They're good. He works clean.
Hey, look what I see.
Yeah.
We weren't paying attention.
Okay.
We were looking in the chat room.
Yep.
Brian Kiley.
Yep.
Kiley. He used to write, I think, for Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
He's been in the industry you Google it, there's YouTube his name. He's got videos going all the way back to the 90s. I think even the 80s. He's been around.
Michael Dane. Michael, are you building computer number 4007 to give away?
You laugh, but he could be.
Yeah, so.
Hopefully his health is doing well. Full screen. I need to see full screen.
FC.
I'm going to leave everything.
Yeah.
Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the optimized defaults down here on the bottom right.
Okay.
Because I don't know what the BIOS update might corrupt. And then we're going to save and exit. Now we're done with the BIOS flash drive. We never need to do that unless a new BIOS comes out. We don't need to. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the BIOS flash drive here. It just turned on me, so I'm going to wait a second.
And then for most people, are you of the old school with a BIOS? If it's not broke, don't fix it, meaning just keep the one that it's on, you know?
It depends on the kind of user you are. If you're a tinkerer and you like that sort of thing, shouldn't be any harm in it. But sometimes, especially on AMD, it may render your CPU useless because of the compatibility on the AM4 socket. They might remove older CPUs to make room for compatibility for new ones, and you might just do yourself in. So overall, yes, I would say leave it alone unless you really know what you're doing and you understand why you're doing it. But at the end of the day, it's all going to be a learning experience one way or the other. And if you're in it for the learning experience, how else are you going to learn? But if it's an Intel platform, that's never an issue. It's only a potential issue on the AM4 platform. And that's only potential. It's not likely. You'll probably be fine. But when I'm building a brand new computer, I want the latest BIOS absolutely on it.
Why is that flashing? Does that mean the battery's going?
So this is flashing because it's not synchronized with the adapter.
Okay.
So if we turn it off and back on again, I know you've never heard of that fix before. Once we turn it on now, it's not flashing.
Okay.
Probably people can't see that in the small window, but if we type on it, when you were hitting escape and nothing was happening, it's because this wasn't talking. That's how it's telling you
it's not linked
that it's not communicating. And so off and back on. That's why when you pressed escape to get us out of the BIOS flash, it didn't work.
Nothing happened.
That's why. So that explains that little mystery.
Okay.
Now, we could put Windows 11 on it. Or we can put Windows 10 on it.
Yay.
Which one should we use? 10 or 11?
11.
I have 10.
Do 11.
I have 11.
2 11s.
Make 22?
Yeah. And really see what happens. So.
All right, this is a Windows 11 installation media, which you can download for free, completely legal, all legitimate from Microsoft. When it asks you for a product key, just click the link that you don't have a product key, but select which version of Windows 11 you intend to buy a product key for, Home or Pro. There is no incentive for a home user to install a pro version of Windows 10 or 11 unless you just have a lot of time to waste and some money burning a hole in your pocket. There's no advantage to any home. Well, if you're somebody that will use BitLocker or you need to log into a domain server or What else can you do with Pro? Virtual machines. You can do virtual machines at home though. When you see me put Windows 10 Pro on all my computers, it's for support reasons. It cost me $3 difference to put Windows 10 Pro instead of Windows 10 Home on a computer I build for a customer. And I don't want to have to ask the customer, which version of Windows do you have? I have Windows 10. Yeah, but is it Home or Pro? So it's a nightmare to support clients that have a mixture of operating systems. And because it's only $3 difference, I put Pro on everything. If you have Home installed on your computer at home, you are just wasting your money and your time and your frustration converting that to Pro. If you still want to do it anyway as a learning experience, no problem. Just have the right expectations. Your computer will not give you any features it didn't already have. It won't run any faster. It won't accept any more of anything. It's just really designed for business use, unless you're into BitLocker, and we had that discussion yesterday. And if you do that, don't come to me for help when you lock yourself up.
Did you ever have a lot of experience with Windows 8 with the tiles? The one with the tiles? Wasn't that terrible? God, I thought that was...
Well, we just didn't use them. We ignored it. I never had a customer use tiles. Corey Fruitman over at Instant House Call, well, I was at a convention. We were in the hotel room, and he's like, I got to show you why tiles are so great. And he went through his little spiel, and I was like, still not seeing it. I'm sorry, Corey. I like you, man.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you think that's great. It's preposterous.
Yeah.
No, Kerry, you're just not getting it. It's the future. I'm like, okay. I also had a friend of mine that was telling me that when Obama got elected, they were coming to get our guns. And I'm like, they're not coming to get our guns. Oh, they're coming to get our guns. I don't even talk to that friend anymore. Because if I talked to him today, I'd be like, so they come get your guns yet? That probably wouldn't endear me to him anyway. So, But I think that was a major rift in our friendship, that people are so convinced of something. Like Corey was, these tiles, once people get it, it's going to take off. And, he could have been right. It's just that people never got it.
Yeah.
And even after he showed me his example, I still wasn't getting it. I was like, I can do everything you showed me now. Yeah, but this is easier. I don't think it is.
I think I hung on to Windows 7 literally until a month before it went out of whatever they call it, out of usage or whatever. So
end of life?
Yeah, end of life.
End of support.
So literally 30 days before, they're like, it's not going to be secure. And I'm like, it's killing me. I love it. I love it.
Which one was that? 7?
7, yeah.
Yeah. Well, some people out there still, foolishly, in my opinion, running Windows 7. But that's their business. They want to put themselves in harm's way. Their identity could already be stolen. They wouldn't know. Maybe when they go apply for a loan or a credit card and they're denied, they'll find out their identity was stolen within the last 3 to 24 months. And then, ignorance is bliss, right? As long as I don't know, everything is fine. So because I have liability, financial liability, just tell people don't do that.
Anybody in chat enjoying Windows 11? I mean, I've looked at it and certainly watched Carrie install it on a lot of these videos.
My sister likes it.
But I'm like, if you like it, you like it. But it's just,
she installed it on
I'm used to 10. I got everything where I need. It doesn't.
Really, Windows 11 is nothing more than Windows 10 with a new skin on it. It's just reskinned. And then they just block certain features from going on to Windows 10 through Windows Update that Windows 10 has the technical ability to do. So it's all a marketing ploy. So you're going to see me go through the same installation steps. Even the installation screens look the same. If not, they're just different font and different colors in some cases. This is that product key page. I told you we're going to click right down here. I don't have a product key. This is there so that you can try Windows. Microsoft has done this with all their versions of Windows, and you can always try it. We're going to go down here because we will buy a Windows 11 Pro key. Actually, I'm going to buy a Windows 10 Pro key because it's cheaper, and I can use that to activate this Windows 11 Pro.
Okay.
Because Windows 11 Pro is a free upgrade to Windows 10 Pro. But if you go to buy the key from like VIP CDK deals, they have great prices, don't get me wrong, but the Windows 11 Pro key is a few bucks more. Well, that's stupid. Why would I pay a few dollars more when I can use a Windows 10 key that's cheaper, Windows 10 Pro, and it will activate Windows 11 Pro exactly the same way.
Didn't you do a YouTube video where whenever I would go in Device Manager, I was constantly being bombarded with, you can update to Windows 11. You can update to Windows 11. Didn't you do a YouTube video to show us where we could turn that off, because it was getting kind of annoying.
Well, you just go in your BIOS and shut off your TPM, which in Gigabyte BIOS is called PTT. Yeah, so that you're basically turning the trusted platform module off that Windows 11 requires. You shut it off in the BIOS, and now you're not Windows 11 compatible anymore, so they don't try and shove it down your throat.
Yeah.
Now, I just agreed to the license agreement, and I selected custom install, exactly the same as I do for Windows 10.
4 beautiful terabytes of storage.
3,700 gigabytes at 1,024 times 37. That's going to bring you up over 4,000. So it's just the math. It's still 4,000, just calculated differently. We're going to hit next here, and that's going to automatically format, partition and format as needed and copy over our files. Now this should happen in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Everything is super fast here. So let's take a look here in the chat and see what we are missing. I don't know if I probably missed some super chats here. Let's take a look. Luke Slater with £5 joins us, contributes in Super Chat, says, "Thank you, Kerry, for all your videos. I am going to enjoy this beast build." Oh, I said that one before, didn't I? And thanks again to Mike Yazzie for his earlier $20 Super Chat. Bob R. has extended his membership. He's now 10 months. Winston Liu with $2 Canadian. Richard has been a member now for 9 months. Right on. Thank you, Richard. Thanks, guys, for supporting the channel. Zyjust wants to know, does anyone know who this PC is for? This PC is for no one.
For me.
Oh, Camera Girl's going to take it. Hey, there's our good buddy Marvin Jameson hanging out with a $20 Super Chat. How's that PC working for you, Marvin?
If Kerry touched it, I'm sure it's great.
Midas Touch.
Yeah.
Rod Bardish wants to know, who can afford it? Who can afford it?
Me.
Well, how much are you going to pay?
$1.50.
About $3.15, $2.50.
It's too pretty to turn down.
Yeah, I know all about that.
All said and done, you said $5,000?
Well, with the video card being nearly half of that, it's just kind of estimated. I haven't really thought about it.
Boy, that was a heavy card. That was a heavy. I was expecting it to have some bulk.
Price per pound.
But when you're here, hold this. I'm like, jeez.
Marvin Jameson says, "Hi, Mara. The PC is great as usual for a Kerry special." It's a Kerry special. I like that. We'll call it that.
Hi, Marvin.
Yeah.
The Jademan says, "Pay me 23 cents and I'll rid you of it." What a bargain. Got change for a quarter?
Yeah.
Gary Tatum said it's going to look amazing in the case they have picked out. A cat turd would look amazing in that case. Just saying.
I just see a lot of dust going in it.
Patrick Manny says, "Camera Girl has dibs."
I do.
You're not calling dibs.
Dibs.
Shotgun.
Yeah.
Dibs.
Dibs or shot. Boy, that loaded up fast.
All right. And as you can see, everything's working perfectly. There's no reason we have to change anything or reconfigure anything with the 4 sticks of RAM working exactly like they're supposed to. Manufacturers don't provide 4 memory sockets and then tell you only use 2 of them. That's the stuff of Intel, of computer enthusiasts online where they're ritualizing instead of actually understanding the technology. I don't like ritualizing. There are circumstances, depending on the hardware selected and the version of the hardware selected, including the BIOS versions, that could impede the compatibility of certain configurations from certain manufacturers, compatibility between each other. But those exceptions are not the rule, and the reason why these parts are available to us is they're intended to be worked together. So please be cautious of any of the ritualizing that goes on online. Too many people will say, "Oh, I know how to fix that problem," and they tell you this long list. And if you follow the list, it might actually fix the problem. But the question you need to ask is why? So if in that list you need to spin around counterclockwise 3 times and rub 2 chicken bones over your head, You could actually take those out of the list and still get the same result. But because it was in the list, then the person concludes, I don't know what it does. Like, why? All I can tell you is it fixed my problem. So I'm not changing anything. If it tells me to spin counterclockwise and to rub 2 chicken bones, I'm going to do that because it fixes the problem. And it's like, yeah, but look, if you don't understand what you're doing, I don't recommend that you refer to other people how to do it as a teacher. And it's frustrating to me, right? Because there are circumstances where a procedure is required on a specific set of hardware, and then on another set of hardware, there's no special sequence required. It just varies depending on the combination. And there's thousands of possibilities, millions of variables of which RAM and how much, with which speed, with which board, with which CPU, with which BIOS version, that should standardize, right? Everything should always be the same and no exceptions. But when it's brand new, right, that's where things get a little bit iffy as they start to refine and polish the compatibility between the RAM manufacturers and the board manufacturers. And we saw this a lot with the original release of AMD's Zen processors. They were pretty rough out of the gate. And that first gen isn't, you can almost give those away now, the first gen Zen processors. Okay, we've finished installing, so now we're just doing our final wrap up here. So I'm going to go over to HDMI input and full screen. And we're going to go United States, yes. See, it's the same screen, it's a different color and a different font as Windows 10. It's like they just reskinned it. We're going to skip any secondary layout. Everything I'm doing is exactly the same as I always do it on Windows 10. We're going to continue with limited setup. That used to be over to the left, and now it's over to the right. We're going to just put the username of user, as I always do, leaving the password blank. And we're going to turn everything off but location settings, so our date and time will be set for us automatically. Out of the box, this board's date and time is probably set to whatever the time is in Hong Kong, right? Maybe like 8 hours ahead. But that's not enough to justify changing the date and time manually, because you can make a mistake and fat finger it. And anyway, just leave it alone and it won't matter. It should self-adjust all by itself. Now, you'll also notice I did not have an internet connection plugged in because I don't want it to force me to create a Microsoft account. I'm done with the Windows 11 installation media. In fact, I was done with it after the first boot. So that can be unplugged. You no longer have to safely remove flash drives anymore. As long as you're not reading or writing to it, just pull it out. And then let's see, what else do we have in the chat? Mark Leibowitz says, I like to use just 2 memory slots if 4 are provided because I need to have room on the board to rub 2 chicken bones together. See, now that's the first thing I've heard that makes any sense. Hungry for wings?
Now that you mention it,
Save the bones. I got a PC repair coming up. I might need the bones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a little chanting. Make it rain later. All right, so I'm gonna go back over to full screen for Mitch and I so we can see what's going on over here. All right, now I can plug the internet in. I don't want these Gigabyte Control Center nonsense. I'm gonna say, do not remind me about this nonsense and cancel that. I'm gonna step around. I'm gonna find my Ethernet cable somewhere on the floor. Hey, it's right there. Whew. Was that your bones cracking or mine when I bent over?
Yours.
All right, just do me a favor and plug that in, and we're gonna go to Windows Update and see how many updates we've got waiting for us now. We're gonna see that little globe in the bottom right corner become a little computer screen once it establishes communication with the router and gets assigned an IP address, see? So now we're connected online. I'm gonna click on the, oh, wrong mouse. I was referring to the little globe that was down here. I was pointing at that with my mouse, but they can't see that. Now over here, we'll click on Start. We'll click on the little gear icon in the top right. It says Settings. We're gonna go to the bottom left, choose Windows Update, and we're off to the races. Now the date and time are going to be a little off here. Well, it's got the right date. It's got very wrong time. That's going to auto adjust. Now, we're in a trial mode of Windows 11. If we never activate it, we're going to get a little watermark that says you should activate. And it never lets us stop using Windows 11, but we can't personalize things like the wallpaper and such. So you have to activate for that. I'm going to buy a Windows 10 Pro key from my good friends over at VIP CDK Deals, which we've been working together now about a year and a half. I don't know how many thousands of Windows and Office keys we've sold. I think I have had about 6 complaints out of thousands, and all 6 complaints, 3 of the people made mistakes that seemed like they were scamming, like I bought the wrong key. How do we know you didn't use the key? But at the end of the day, they got the key they intended to get at no additional expense, or they got a refund if they were very difficult. But one way or another, they were taken care of. I always tell people, if you have any problems, which is very unusual, but if you do, let the folks at VIP CDK, let them know. Give them an opportunity to fix it. If you've given them the opportunity to fix it and they haven't, which again, almost never happens, reach out to me personally and I will make it right. Anything I endorse on this channel, unlike any other YouTube channel I'm aware of, I personally guarantee it with my own money. So there is peace of mind. Now, I'm not talking about all this hardware. I'm not doing anything. These companies don't know I exist. Scythe has never paid me a nickel. I wish. But when it comes to like in the sponsors of the show, like RoboForm and Acronis, the folks over at mycomputerworks.com, Instant House Call for remote support, and of course VIP CDK Deals. That's the entire list, folks. And I guarantee you, those folks would rather give you your money back than risk losing their sponsorship here, or even waste any time dealing with somebody who they think might be being unreasonable. Just give them back their $10. I mean, these products are all very inexpensive. So in most cases, you really don't have to fight that hard. If you have to fight, which is very, very rare. But I'm not going to lie to you and say it never happens. It's so rare, though. And you can save a ton of money. And I'm sure if you ask anybody in the chat room if they've bought anything from any of my sponsors, they have nothing but great things to say. Ask anytime, not even just because I'm mentioning it right now. Come into any future show and ask people when I'm not paying attention and see what the folks have to say. There is a peace of mind here that is very important to me, that whether or not you want to buy something, I can't make that decision for you. But what I can tell you is it's all guaranteed to work. And that guarantee is up to 30 days. Now, if it doesn't work after 30 days, if something, like if you bought a key and you choose not to activate it for 3 months, that's suspicious. It's no different than if you bought a TV at Best Buy, you stuck it in the garage, went on vacation for 3 months, came back, opened the TV up, open the box and see the screen is cracked. Best Buy is not taking it back. Even Amazon's return policy, once you're past those 30 days, with rare exception, they're not taking anything back. There's a lot of scammers trying to scam sellers. So where do you draw the line from the buyers afraid they're going to get scammed, the sellers afraid they're going to get scammed? So 30 days seems to be pretty universal. And so when you activate Windows, it's going to activate online using those keys. It's going to stay activated to that motherboard. If you try and move it to another board, no promises. If you buy Microsoft Office and you activate it on your board, and then 3 months later you wipe and reinstall, shame on you. First of all, you should have made a backup, something like Acronis or a system image. But that Microsoft Office looks like you're trying to install it one license multiple times. It's very suspicious. And your license may not reactivate again. That's the way it's supposed to work. You need to go buy another license. If you don't want to have to do that, you need what's called a retail license. A retail license of Microsoft Office is, I think, around $450. So you could buy Office 2016 at VIP CDK Deals 20 times before you'd even hit $440. So even if you had to buy it and repurchase it to reinstall because you didn't make a system image, you're still saving a ton of money. All right, so I just want to be honest and set expectations so you know exactly what you're getting into. This has downloaded and it says install all. Let's do that. Is there a plane crashing outside? What's going on out there?
That's a big helicopter.
It's not clicking. It's still doing something now. Well, it says it's installing right here. Oh, okay. I don't know what it's doing. Oh, it's installing a video driver. When it blanks out like that, that's a video driver install, and that explains a lot of the lack of response I'm getting. So we're gonna go ahead and just leave this. What have I been saying this whole day? Leave it alone. Don't pick at it, or it won't heal. Yeah, it's doing exactly what it should be doing, and all I'm doing is hindering it. Bill wants to know why you don't eject a USB flash drive. Oh, because it's not 2012 anymore. I do hope you'll join us in was that sarcastic enough? Here in 2023. Yep. Use Google, type in, is it necessary to safely eject a USB flash drive? You know, Bing's got that ChatGPT. Have you used that? Hold on a second. Let's have a little fun. Let's have a little fun. Let's see, Bing. And then I'm going to go to the microphone. Oops. Oh, it just said oops. Okay, here we go. Is it necessary to safely eject a USB flash drive on Windows 10 or Windows 11?
Searching for, is it necessary to safely eject a USB flash drive on Windows 10 or Windows 11? It is generally a good idea to safely remove drives if you're concerned about data loss. By default, you can often safely remove a USB drive from a Windows 10 machine by simply unplugging it, unless something is actively writing to it, and you don't necessarily know when that's happening in the background. However, Microsoft has swapped the default settings for USB drives in Windows 10 so that they are optimized for quick removal. It is also the official best practice given by Microsoft to safely eject USB before unplugging.
Is it done? So, there's two answers. Yes, if you are absolutely concerned about data loss, there's no harm to safely ejecting it, but it's not necessary if the drive isn't being written to. If it's being read from, you're not going to hurt anything. And they said, well, it's hard to know if it's happening. Well, if your flash drive has a light on it and the light is indicating there's activity, don't unplug it. So if you want to continue to safely eject, you can, but it's no longer necessary since Windows 8, I think, is when they changed it. But you'll see me yanking the flash drives out. Where's my broken flash drives? Where's my corruption? Where is it? That's why I love making these videos. There's no argument, I just show you. Not that anybody was arguing, they were asking. But this is old news. So simple Google search. If you still want to do it the old-fashioned way, it is being safer. On my A+ certification, if I failed it, guess what section I was this close to failing? Safety.
Yeah.
I'm somebody like using a system out in the open like this with power, that's not safe. I do a lot of things because I know what I'm doing that aren't defined as safe, because we live in a society now where, God forbid, anybody could just give the opportunity to injure themselves. I mean, I'm surprised knives still have sharp edges in the world we live in. They're just going to Nerf protect everything. It's a world of Ralph Wiggums. But I believe in my ability. I know what I'm doing, and I take responsibility in the consequences of my actions. So anything you see me do here is based on me doing this daily, nearly every single day for over 30 years. So after a while, there's a bit of familiarity and comfort that I have, which, you know, is confidence, and I don't have all this paranoia and fear. It just bothers me to have it. I'd rather break something than be afraid of breaking it. That's just my logic. So, but I appreciate the question. Fair enough. Not everybody was aware of that. And by the way, ChatGPT, a lot of fun too. Let me see. Take a look at something here. What are some of Carrie Holzman's slogans?
Searching Searching for Carrie Halsman slogans. Searching for Carrie Halsman slogans YouTube. I couldn't find any slogans associated with Carrie Halsman. However, Carrie Halsman is an information technology professional, author, freelance journalist, and former co-host of Craig Crossman's nationally syndicated radio show, Computer America.
You can't tell when it's done.
Your life summed up in 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's all of it.
All righty then, yeah.
Hey, most people won't even listen.
Yeah.
What is Carrie Halsman known for? It's the same information. Here. Let me clear it out. Let me tell it to be more creative. Who is Mitchell Morrison?
Searching for Mitchell Morrison.
You ready for this? You're not ready?
Mitchell Morrison is a name that can refer to different people. According to the web search results, some possible candidates are Mitchell Morrison, an actor and comedian who has performed in various theater and film projects. Marion Mitchell Morrison.
All right, I want that one.
You know who Marion Mitchell Morrison? That's John Wayne.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, look at that.
Yeah,
We're with royalty.
yeah. No relation, but yeah,
Oh, it just took me to your webpage.
yeah. Yeah, we have a treat for the
There
people.
there should be a way that I can select that. What did I do wrong? The actor and comedian.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what it says. You ready?
Yeah, hopefully there's nothing personal on there, I hope. I hope.
Why isn't it talking?
I told her to be quiet.
Mitchell Morrison, the actor and comedian, is originally from Rochester, Michigan. He started his career as a stand-up comedian, performing at various venues in Hollywood. He then pursued acting in theater and film and graduated from the American Film Institute with a master's in film producing. Get behind the camera. What are you doing here? You're on the wrong side of the camera. He has appeared in several comedy pilots, short films, and theatrical productions. He is also a drummer and a snow skier.
Yeah, I've been skiing.
How do you do both of those at the same time?
You don't, yeah.
Oh, I misunderstood.
Yeah,
So is everything right?
I guess so.
What are some of his comedy pilots? It's searching.
Yeah. It's on the website. I don't remember these things.
Some of Mitchell Morrison's comedy pilots. Some of the comedy pilots that Mitchell Morrison has been involved in are The Wizard of Windows, a pilot about a computer geek who becomes a superhero. Why am I here?
Okay.
Dr. Feelgood, a pilot about a psychiatrist who uses unconventional methods to treat his patients. Boy, would you have your hands full with me. You can also watch some of his stand-up comedy clips on his YouTube channel.
Yes.
Look at that. Camera Girl. Oh, that's a whole different website.
No, don't pull that up.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at using the right mouse here so Mitch and I can make this screen bigger. What's it doing? It wants to restart now. Okay, restarting. I think it was sitting there for a while where we were messing around. I think our good friend Peter Laycock is in the chat. I see people saying hello. Hey, there he is. Welcome in, Buster. Paul Howe says he's got stage 4 cancer, 6 to 18 months left. You know, some people have been able to turn that around and get 6 to 18 years left. You got to keep up the fight, man, and keep us informed on your progress and do what the doctors tell you to do. And hopefully you'll be with us for much, much longer. My mother didn't listen to the doctors. She argued with them. I mentioned she's dead, right?
You have, yeah.
Yeah. So don't argue with your doctors.
They went to school 8 years. Psychiatrist 12 years.
Plus all the internships.
Yeah. Psychiatrist 12 years. Yeah.
Are we getting particularization trophies? Particularization. Sure, why not? Trophies for everyone. Eugene Hidalgo says, hello, Kerry. Salutations from, how do you say that? Abascon? I never heard of that city. Abascon, New Jersey? Oh, you want to show your audition?
Well, it's not an audition. It's a scene, a little scene. Yeah, we can.
Oh, we didn't do the audition.
No.
I saw the audition.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is the scene.
So tell us about, I feel like I'm Jimmy Fallon. Tell us about the clip we're about to see.
The clip we're about to see, I'm in a weekly acting class, and there's a particular young kid in there that I think is very talented, and after class, I asked him, do you have any video footage for a demo reel? And he said no. And I said, well, let me write 1 page and we'll film it, and then you'll have some footage. So I actually wrote what you're going to see, chat, and directed it. And I'm in it, and that was juggling an awful lot of hats. I don't think I would, direct when I'm in front of the camera ever again, because I can't, it's 2 different mindsets. And so I would rather direct people when I'm not appearing on camera, or let someone else direct while I'm in front of the camera. But I think it's about a 90-second clip. Kerry can show you. I think it turned out right. I just used a GoPro. And
you shot that entirely on a GoPro?
On a GoPro, and I think it turned out okay. Yeah.
Just okay?
No, well,
on,
I mean, well, great is all relative. I'm not going to blow my horn too much, but
if I could blow my own horn, I would.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
now,
yeah.
Are we ready for the clip?
Well, don't you have to full screen it? Otherwise,
no. The clip itself is its own. It's its own thing.
Oh.
You ready?
Okay. Here it goes.
I'm gonna mute our audio for this.
Okay.
Man, do I miss drinking.
How many days you been sober?
43.
And you've been attending meetings regularly?
Yes.
You like your sponsor?
He's great.
Why don't you tell me what's really on your mind?
Do you think God will forgive us for the things we've done?
No.
Neither do I.
I want you to do a job.
What kind of job?
I need you to kill someone.
Who?
Me.
Caught me off guard. I wasn't ready for the microphones to get turned back on. So, I'll do that for free.
Okay.
If you need somebody to take you out.
Yeah.
No problem. Just stand behind my car.
Okay. Are we on?
Hey, look, I bet, we're on.
Oh.
I bet that took a lot longer to film than what we just saw. How many hours of shooting and how many days of planning?
Prep was maybe going down to that park 3 or 4 times, sitting there all day with a piece of paper. How's the light at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., noon? and then following the sun. And so, yeah, that was it. And then to shoot it was maybe 3 to 4 hours for 90 seconds. Yeah.
And how much time in editing? Do you edit that yourself?
I did. And again, Chad, I'm just learning how on a program called DaVinci Resolve. And so that was kind of basically my first time using it. And yeah. And you can do, Chat, you can do your Uncle Mitch a favor. If you'd like to see it again, you certainly can go to IMDb, Internet Movie Database.com, type in Mitch Morrison, my page comes up, scroll down, videos, and it's called, you'll see it, The Bald Guy with a Beard, New Acting Clip. And I would appreciate it because by you clicking on that, I have what's called kind of a star meter. And depending on the number of hits, per week or once a month,
gauges your popularity.
It kind of pops up. But so by you going on that would help me. So all I can say is, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ladka.
Yeah, thank you.
Master Singleton says, that's great acting. And Wintermute gives you applause. And Dan Nilsson says, wow. Yeah. Luke Greeny says, damn, that was good. Why are they acting all surprised? Gary Tatum says, that was great. You guys are very...
This isn't my first rodeo, peeps.
Mark Baggett said that was great.
Yeah.
John Williams says, great job. Good job. Yeah. Not great. He says good.
Good.
He's
yeah.
Holding back on the great.
Well, I was all thumbs, Chat, editing, because that thank heaven for YouTube, because there are a ton of videos on how to use that editing software. Sure. And I spent a lot of time for beginners, and I would stop it, then I would do what the guy says, then watch a little more and do. But I
do that every day for a few years, you'll have it down. Super easy.
I haven't got a few.
Elijah 52 Tickets says, not bad, Mitch. Ron Barnish says, very well done. Master Singleton, he's checking the weather for you. He's somewhere else, I guess. Patrick Russo says, damn, Uncle Mitch got a dark side. Yeah, they have cookies on the dark side. And
well, thanks, Chad. Appreciate that. And fingers crossed that who knows? I may get the gig. They're in Tucson. I don't know how big the part would be for Dr. Ben Ginsburg.
Hey,
but,
you gotta.
It's a feature film, which is great.
You gotta audition for everything just to get something.
Yeah. And they kind of, in order to get the tax incentive here that's been passed in Arizona for films, they have to hire a certain amount of union actors who are from Arizona, me actually being a Screen Actors Guild member, so that at least where they're like, this guy was all right, so we'll hire.
And you just, like anything else, you have to keep doing it and doing it, just hopefully get better and better and better. So you got to get in front of that camera, you got to keep, not like I need to tell you, you've already been done a couple commercials and stuff. But it's been a while since you've been in anything that big, right?
Right.
So you're due.
Yeah. So that would be fun to go down there. And
David Martinez says that was amazing, and Kurt Schlegel says very convincing, Mitch. Hey, look at that.
Thank you.
Now Kenny Whitten mentions that GIGABYTE Control Center will not stop nagging you. And I'm glad this is happening once again on a live video where we can't control what's going to happen because there's a fix for this. So normally what it's supposed to do is you check the little box here, right? And my only option is install or cancel. So what good is it to check the box if not to hit cancel? If you check the box and hit install, it's still going to keep coming back.
So,
but there should be an option in the BIOS to switch this off. Let's take a quick look in the BIOS. One way we can get into the BIOS easily is to go into Settings and go into Windows Update and then go into, did they move it?
Is it Advanced Options?
Advanced? I want Troubleshooting and Recovery.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Recovery, Advanced Startup and Reset. I want Advanced Startup. Restart now. Restart now, and then we should get another menu that pops up.
Oh, okay.
I know it looks like it's restarting, but it's... Let's take a minute. We'll take a second here and see if I'm... Windows 10 and Windows 11, they're so similar, but there's a little... You know what? I'm just going to hit delete. That worked anyway.
Right.
It did restart. I'm surprised. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go to the advanced mode, right, which is F2.
Gotcha.
That's going to bring up the more traditional looking BIOS we're all familiar with all of the more advanced settings. And then I'm going to go over to settings, and it's probably under miscellaneous maybe. And we've got acoustic noise settings. That's the trusted computing. It's not there. Is it under system info? It's not system info. Oh, I know it's in here somewhere.
You're looking for TMP?
No, I'm not looking for TPM. I'm looking for the option to disable pushing the Gigabyte software. Should be in here somewhere. It's somewhere in here. Likely not under tweaker. It's probably under settings somewhere. It shouldn't be platform power. Probably looking right at it and moved right past it. Display output. Gigabyte utilities downloader configuration. Push enter and disable that. You think it's going to come back ever again? Not if I save and exit, it won't. Now that's gone.
That's a hard no.
All right,
yeah.
so there's a little lesson from
Yeah.
your Uncle Kerry
Kerry.
on these modern UEFI BIOSes and their ability
Free
to
of
communicate with your
Little lesson
operating
free of
system.
charge. Yeah.
I didn't say it was free.
Oh, okay.
There's a price to be paid.
Okay, yeah, okay.
May not be cash, but it's going to be something. Oh,
Oh,
no,
there
that
was, yeah,
finishes
there's the
our
page, yeah, that you were
that's,
hoping
That's
it
the troubleshooting
shooting,
I was going to
yeah.
look for, but
Yeah.
we were able to bypass that. So we'll just hit continue and let it boot up as normal. Now I've got my utilities flash drive here. I'm not going to run Prime 95 because of that cooler. Obviously,
Right.
it's going to run hot. But we can look at the temps, and we can look at our Crystal Disk Mark info on this Western Digital high performance Gen 4 drive. And we can pull up CPU-Z just to verify. And you notice that that little Gigabyte thing is gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go to the little yellow.
And am I
folder.
correct that the Samsung Magician only works for Samsung?
That's correct.
It does not work for other brands. It's like
It'll provide information, but it's not very useful.
But it's not very, yeah.
I mean, for as big as that program is and as often it's updated, unless you just like updating stuff,
Right.
it's not really going to serve much purpose. I'm going to throw VLC on here just to get it out of the way. Watch how fast this installs through the fast USB with the fast flash drive with the fast computer. Ready? Here we go. Pew! That's right off USB.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd still be downloading it.
Just remember in the old days where it's just, you'd have to leave
It's
the
done.
Yeah, you'd have to leave the room.
56K dial-up. All right, then I'm going to go over here. We can put Uncle Kerry's Windows 10 optimizer. It doesn't really help too much, but it shouldn't hurt anything if we want to throw it on here. I need to run it from the desktop though, so we'll just drag that out, double clicky, and it'll make some suggestions, and we'll just hit apply on those suggestions. Holy cow! Did you get all that?
No,
It's done.
No, I blinked. All right. Oh,
It's almost done.
yeah.
Now it's done, and it's behind this window. Restart. So we'll let those Uncle Kerry's Windows 10 optimizations take effect, and we'll reboot. That's going to put the My Computer icon on the desktop, which we cannot do without activation, but the Uncle Kerry's Windows 10 optimizer does it. It also sets up storage sense and other things that are also in Windows 11. So it may not make that much difference, but it doesn't hurt anything. And that's available for sale in links below this video. And it's super cheap. All right, now I'm going to go back to my flash drive. Wow, that thing. I barely picked up my drink and took a swig, and it's like waiting on me. I'm going to go to my PC testing software directory, and I'm going to drag out CPU-Z. I'm going to drag out CPU-Z, Crystal Disk Mark. Western Digital does have their own utility. If you want to download it, we can. And then we're not going to run any benchmarks here. HW info can show us our temps. I'll drag out Prime 95 because I'll need it later.
Okay.
But let's take a look at our Western Digital NVMe drive and see what kind of performance numbers we get. I'm expecting about 7 7,000. If I clicked on the right file, that would probably help. Okay. There we go. Oh, that's drive D. We want to be on drive C. That's probably going to make a big difference,
Matrix.
given that drive D is a flash drive. And here we go.
You're expecting 7,000?
Minimum. I'm expecting 7,300 on the read. That first number we should see should be very close, a little below or a little above 7,300, if everything's working like it should. Again, I'm not looking to set any benchmark records. I just want to make sure we're in the operational range of the drive.
You're close.
It's not done yet, though. It's still on test.
Yeah,
see here, up here, it says test 3 of 5. It'll run each test 5 times. And you see it keeps climbing. I mean, I'd like to see 7,000. We're getting closer. Do you know what the difference is between 6,900 and 64 megabytes per second versus 7,300 megabytes per second? About 2/3 of 1 millisecond. So it's not like it's going to make a massive difference to us in our.
Right.
It won't make any difference in our boot time. I mean, it's such a minor little difference. And the faster we go, the less difference we notice. We reach a point of diminishing returns where when you go to Gen 5 and 10,000, 12,000 megabytes per second, what you return on that is so tiny, unless you're some extreme user with an excessive amount of I/O. And your I/O would all have to be internal because it's unlikely you're going to have some kind of 10 gigabit port in here to take advantage of that. You might, but you would be the rare exception. And if you got the money to blow it if you want to. But you know, even if you had a Gen 3 drive at 3600, you don't see much difference between 3600 and 7200 in the real world. It's such a small discrepancy. Maybe if you're a gamer and you know these massive levels that are loading, it can make the game load a few seconds faster. And you know, seconds is quite often very important to gamers who can be very demanding, but they can also open their wallets and pay more. For the rest of us that want to be practical and spend our money wisely, don't feel like, hey, that's twice the speed as my drive, I need to upgrade. You likely don't.
And is DDR5 still kind of pricey, or is it?
It's not bad now.
It's not bad.
It's still more.
When it started, it was obscene, right? I remember you wanting us 2 sticks, as much. You're like, I'm not paying that.
It was 4 times the cost of DDR4. But now it's much more. It's reasonable.
Yeah,
it has to be if you see me using it. Unless I had a customer calling and saying, build this.
Yeah, I want DDR5.
But if I'm buying it, it's got to be reasonable. And it'll keep coming down.
Yeah.
Solid state drive prices have been falling. You can get the 2 terabyte Samsung 970 EVO Gen 3 drive that's 3,600 megabytes per second, $129.
Oh, jeez. For 2 terabytes?
They have 1 terabyte
for like
$43 or something. For not Samsung necessarily, another brand. But still, it's like half. Remember I said if you can get a terabyte under $100, now you can get a terabyte for under 50.
Jeez.
Now granted, that may not be the rocket ship. Now look, our write speeds are pretty much where they should be. If I look on the box, it does say up to, up to 7,300 on the reads. What does it say about the writes? Up to 1.2 million IOPS. One of these, I think. This doesn't represent that. And it doesn't give us the right speeds on the box. Still, like I said, we're talking milliseconds. Milliseconds of difference. And if the more we run the test, we're never going to get the same results twice. If I just run, first of all, it's still running. We've got 2 final tests. I'll let those complete just so we get a full picture of the drive. This is okay. I mean, honestly, I'm a tiny bit just a little tiny bit disappointed. It's not going to ruin my day, but it does seem like we could refine this just a little smidge. And you know, look, if you've got an update happening in the background we don't know about, or if there's perhaps maybe a driver I haven't installed, let me just right-click on the Start menu and go to Device Manager just to look. There might be drivers. And look at here. Look at all these drivers that are not installed. And that could be having an impact on our drive performance. I'm so accustomed to Windows just putting drivers in for me, I didn't think to look. So how do we resolve this? Look at all these real world problems we get to experience on unscripted and live videos. And as a real computer technician, it's another day at work for me. I don't care. It doesn't throw my, I don't go, oh no, how embarrassing. No, this is what I do. So what? Ignorance was bliss. I didn't look at it, right? So I didn't know anything was unfinished. Now I can see I'm not done yet. I'm a little premature in running these tests. So kind of get an idea what these numbers are, and then we'll compare them after we update that. Now, how do we know what these are, Mitch?
Yeah, how do we? PCIe.
Well, let me tell you something. There's a lot of people that will do, there's an old joke about how a nerd will argue for 2 hours over the results of a test that would take 10 minutes to complete. All right? I've always wanted to be the anti-nerd. I want to be the guy who's nerdy in my technical ability, but not nerdy in my logic. So I can't be bothered to look up what that stuff is. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just, what I say, work smarter instead of working harder. I'm going to go back to that GIGABYTE support page. So we're going to bring up Microsoft Edge here. And we have to go through this process anyway here. I don't need this to monitor me. Thank you very little. And we're going to go over to Google. And we want the AORUS Z790 Elite AX. And we want revision 1.1 even when we're looking at the driver. See, it says 1.0 there. There should be another one for 1.1. Well, you know what? We could probably click on 1.0 and there should be a link to 1.1 now that I know to look for it. Right there. See that?
Yep.
It's super tiny. That's the one we want. You see it changed here.
Yep.
And then now that goes back to 1.0 if we accidentally get on the wrong site. Just make sure you read the fine print. We're going to go over here to support, just like how we got the BIOS, back to downloads. Now, is it the audio driver? Do we have a speaker down here? We do, so it's not our audio driver. We have a chipset driver. Oh, we definitely want the serial I/O, the INF installation. We want all of these. One. Whoops. I got a twitchy trigger finger. Look how fast it's down there. We're going to grab all those. We know our LAN is working. We don't run anything SATA, so we don't need any of this. VGA driver we don't need. Wireless driver and Bluetooth driver, that could be a thing. Maybe, I'd have to check. And that's pretty much it. So those 4 drivers between them should cover everything in there. With my keyword being should. I could be wrong, but let's just cross that bridge when we get to it. And you see I downloaded one file a bunch of times here, so let me just kind of clean up this mess. So anything that's got parentheses after it is duplicates, so we'll get rid of those duplicates. And we'll double clicky on the zip file, File Explorer, extract all, extract. Double click, yes. It's very responsive. It's like I click and it responds.
If time's money for you.
Well, sure, or you're just really super impatient and you have money.
Like somebody I know.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Well, that's working. I can do multiple things at the
Initial
same time.
CH. Oh, okay.
Don't they make sugar?
Yeah. Okay. Brown.
Intel I9 update.
How can you read that? I'm wearing my short eyeballs, I guess, because I got glasses and I can't read
And we're
that.
full screen, Mitch.
Oh. Yeah.
And you still can't see it.
I can see it.
You
but
drive,
I can't.
do you?
Yeah.
Explains a
Yeah,
lot.
I'm going to drive my motorcycle tomorrow.
All right. Did that finish? Oh, that's the Microsoft store.
I'll have to put my training wheels on. Okay, yeah.
I thought you never took them off. I'm going to do the next one.
Okay.
I'm not even checking the BIOS.
Yeah.
I'm just going through it.
All 4.
And then while that's doing it, I'm going to go to the next one.
So you're loading up four things, right? 4 thingies?
Yeah, but why is there 5 in there now? I guess I don't have to extract them. I think I can just see what happens if I try and do them simultaneously. That ought to piss it off. But I just keep going until I anger it.
You don't think it can handle the processing power of that chip?
I just sometimes, when you're installing, sometimes installs can conflict with one another. I'm just going to go through them all. The heck with it. I might even be doing the same ones twice for all I can tell. I can't see it.
You got, yeah, big deal. You got 4 terabytes of storage.
Well, I'm not worried about the storage. I'm worried about the conflicts.
Oh, okay.
And many of these running, I just see one. Right click, device manager. Hey, look, they're all gone.
They disappeared. Yeah.
Which one was it? I could have done them one at a time, but unless I really need to know the answer to this, I won't remember what the answer is. I don't care. Yeah. Who cares?
So this is
see how fast it was?
This isn't caught in a loop.
No,
You know,
it's still like putting the
there you
latest
go.
driver on.
Yeah.
Now, let's Yeah, that's fine. See, that's when you shouldn't install multiple things at the same time, okay? One thing at a time. Now, I'm going to restart just to make sure that all of those drivers take effect. Even though it didn't tell us we had to, it's just, this is when I do play it safe, like I'm not totally unsafe. I want to make sure that when I run Crystal Disk Mark again.
And you believe the numbers will jump based on what you just did?
If they do, I know why.
Right.
If they don't, well,
then it's your
I
fault.
still need it to resolve that issue regardless.
All right.
Because I don't want to find out what those things are for. But do you want the system? See, just because your system's running doesn't mean it's running right. It doesn't mean it's running optimally at its peak performance. This is a mistake first-time builders make. They think, oh, it booted, I got it right. Back in the days of jumpers and setting BIOS multipliers, I've seen people running their processor at half speed for a year before they brought their computer into me for some issue that I resolved and said, oh, by the way, you might find your computer's faster now because I actually configured it to the speed of your processor. They get the computer, they call me and they go, oh my gosh, this thing's never run this fast. I thought I built it right. You didn't. Well, you didn't configure it right. You did build it right. Now, these days, you don't have that problem, but similar situations exist with drivers in BIOS updates and BIOS settings. So it still exists that people can be running a computer and it's not running to its peak performance or its peak reliability. So we're going to run Crystal Disk Mark again. We're still on the C drive. We're going to run all these tests now. I don't know. Folks at home, what do you think? Is this going to make a difference?
Yeah, the top number was
6,900, wasn't it?
6964. So,
uh-oh, I'm not seeing a big difference.
yeah.
Still needed to be done, but it just
Okay,
it may affect something else. But everything looks happy now. So while that runs, and we'll let that complete just to see what if it could make differences in other numbers. But I'm a big fan of consistency, and it does say up to 7,300 too, right?
Yep.
It doesn't say we promise you're going to get 7,300. We say you will get up to. Up to's in real tiny letters.
Yep.
Kenny Whitten wants to know if there's any additional updates in the advanced update settings. Yeah, we could look. I want to not interrupt what it's doing right now, though. Typically, we see those updates as optional updates, but again, I'm not as familiar with Windows 11 as I am Windows 10, so I'll look just to see if I'm missing anything. Gary Tatum said, I would send that drive back immediately. How dare you not give me my half of a millisecond?
Yeah.
For my $379. Hey, there's our friend Oystein in Norway, who contributes 100 Norwegian krona. Hi, Oystein. Thanks for your continued support.
Wonder what time it is there.
When you do you want to go to Norway? It looks really amazing.
Yeah.
What time is it in Norway?
Searching for time in Norway. According to the time zone results, the current time in Norway is Friday, March 24th, 2023, 11:55 and 17 seconds p.m.
8 hours ahead of us.
PM.
Norway uses the Central European Time, CET, which is Universal Time Coordinated / Greenwich Mean Time plus 1 hour.
Oh,
Norway also observes Daylight Saving Time, DST, which starts on Sunday, March 26, 2023, and ends on Sunday, October 29th, 2023.
it starts today?
No, March 26th. That's in 2 days.
Today's
The 24th.
Oh yeah, weird.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that it starts.
It's weird. I didn't know what today was. I'm asking what the time is. I don't even know the day. Hey, there's our buddy Giadorni checking in. He says, "Hi, Carrie. Hope everything is okay and God bless." Hey, Giadorni, and he sent $20 using Zelle. He's the only person I know that uses Zelle. Thank you, Giadorni. Giadorni watches us from New York. He ordered a computer from me a while back. I guess no news is good news. He's not talking about the computer at all, so I guess that's all good. Now, our speeds are roughly the same. There's always some variance from test to test. That's unusual that it's so close.
Yeah.
So that consistency is pretty good. Adam in the chat wants to know, Carrie, do you think a Ryzen 5600 and RTX 3060 is good for gaming at 3440 by 1440? I play games. Well, there's esports games, there's retro games, there's first-person shooter games, there's driving simulators and flight simulators, or sim games, I should just say. There's massively multiplayer online games, which aren't really graphically intensive anyway. But you know, there's games like World of Warcraft that people still play, and Eve, and what else are people playing? Call of Duty, World of Tanks, huh?
Rift, Terra.
All that. It's really up to you to decide what's good enough for you. No one can answer that question for you. It depends on the game, the version of the game, and your settings. So, if anybody has any opinions in the chat you want to share on that, feel free.
Well, there's a test completed. Yep. Like you said, not a huge.
Elijah says, Carrie, for that system that is good, is that M.2 NVMe. It wouldn't list it in this build, but looking at the button, I don't know what you're talking about. If you look at the video description below this video and you're not seeing the parts list, you need to refresh your page. It was updated about half an hour before the show started. So if you were in early today, then you have to refresh the page to see the updated video description.
I watched Uncle Kerry do it with my own one eye.
Your short eyeballs?
My short eyeballs.
Yeah, it's all in there. Oystein told us the time is 23:55. He told us that long before, like Bing took a long time. Well, ChatGPT 4 was really taking a long time.
I'm just not much on military time. A lot of countries are.
It's math. You're just going to do math.
I can't do math.
Soldier.
Don't have enough fingers. All right, so.
Kelly Stewart said an Amazon gift card. Look at that. Thank you, Kelly. And he says, I hope you enjoy this Amazon gift card for $50. Hey, I'm going to go shopping later. Lady?
Later.
Let's see, ChatGPT. Let's try something here.
Uh-oh.
Tell me a story about two middle-aged men named Carrie and Mitch who liked building computers but got distracted by a squirrel.
Here is a story I made up for you. Carrie and Mitch were two middle-aged men who liked building computers. They had a hobby of collecting old parts and assembling them into working machines. They enjoyed the challenge and the satisfaction of creating something new out of something old. One day, they decided to build a computer together in Carrie's backyard. They had gathered all the necessary components and tools, and they were ready to start. They laid out the parts on a large table and plugged in the power supply. Okay, let's do this, Carrie said, picking up a screwdriver. Right behind you, Mitch said, grabbing a motherboard. They worked diligently, connecting the wires, inserting the cards, and securing the screws. They were so focused on their task that they didn't notice a small furry visitor in the nearby tree. It was a squirrel, and it was curious about what the men were doing. It watched them with interest, tilting its head and twitching its tail. It wondered if there was any food involved in their activity. It decided to investigate. It jumped from the tree to the fence, and then from the fence to the table. It landed softly on the edge of the table, near a pile of cables. It sniffed them and found them unappetizing. It moved on to a shiny metal box that had a fan inside. It poked its nose into the fan and felt a breeze. It liked that. It decided to explore the box further. It climbed over it and found a hole on the other side. It peeked inside and saw some wires and chips. It thought they looked like nuts and seeds.
Uh-oh.
It wanted to taste them. It squeezed into the hole and started to nibble on the wires. It didn't notice that it was causing sparks and smoke. It didn't notice that it was short-circuiting the power supply. Carrie and Mitch didn't notice either. They were busy attaching the monitor to the computer case. They were almost done. Okay, I think we're ready to test it, Carrie said, reaching for the power button. Let's hope it works, Mitch said, crossing his fingers. They pressed the button and waited for the computer to boot up. Nothing happened. They looked at each other in confusion. Did you plug it in? Mitch asked. Of course I did, Carrie said. They checked the power cord and saw that it was firmly connected to the outlet. They checked the switch on the back of the power supply and saw that it was on. They checked the cables inside the computer case and saw that they were all in place. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. They heard a squeak. They looked at the power supply and saw smoke coming out of it. They smelled something burning. They saw a flash of fur. They realized what had happened. A squirrel! Carrie exclaimed. A squirrel? Mitch repeated. They watched as the squirrel scrambled out of the power supply and ran away with a wire in its mouth. It had ruined their computer. They were speechless. They were angry. They were sad. They had wasted their time and money. They had lost their hobby. They had lost their friend. The squirrel had one.
Somebody in chat said that's Nutty's backstory.
The squirrel had won, not had. I didn't understand the end. The squirrel won. And so that's the backstory
Of Nutty.
of where Nutty came from, in case anybody wants to know about the prequel.
Yeah.
Yay! Isn't that incredible that just based on that information, it told this whole story?
I want to know, did that woman have to read every word in a dictionary? You know, it would take her a month to...
the one doing the voice?
The one doing the voice. You've got to read those into a machine, a computer, and so I'm like, that must have taken weeks to read every word.
Can you imagine how many hours you can waste with this? You just throw it whatever you want it to do, give it all kinds of variables, and it just works it into the story, and you can tell it, I want the story to be funny, or I want it to be sad, or I want it to be realistic.
What about the pizza that was angry with the pepperoni?
That was hilarious. So I'm just laying in bed and I'm like trying to think of remember Mad Libs, how you'd say, give me a noun, give me an adjective, and you read together the story? That reminds me of that on steroids.
If it's free, how does it make any money though? You download the app and...
Well, you're downloading the Bing app.
Oh.
And so just like Google makes money on search results, Bing makes money on search results. And Bing is trying to get a one-up on Google. And Google's trying to do their version called Bard. It's not very good. So Google's got a lot of catching up to do.
Okay.
Computer keeps going to sleep here, so bear with me for a second when you see that. So yeah, so our speeds are a little disappointing. I'm still not sure why. I don't want to chase it down too much, but be interesting if activating Windows made any difference. It should not, though. Let me just take a quick look full screen one more time here just to double check our device manager and make sure everything looks happy in there. Yeah, everything looks good. The other thing I want to do is just check our temps. I want to see what the idle temps we're doing with this Mugen 5 on here. I mean, we could run Prime 95 for fun, but I don't expect it's going to be too happy. Where's there it is, there's my HW info.
So you think even at idle this may be running hot, or probably not?
It's probably running a little warm, but nothing to be concerned about. And it might ramp up now and again when we ask it to do something. Where did my HW info go? I thought I double clicked it. There it is. Just give me sensors, that's all I want. Okay.
How many cores and how many?
Oh, it's running
threads?
pretty cool actually. 24 cores, 24 cores. So I think it's 16 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores. Let's run Prime 95, just because I'm feeling particularly sadistic. If it gets too hot, I'll shut it off. I mean, it's going to shut itself off if it gets too hot, but I won't let it get that far on purpose. We'll click OK. How many cores? Did you see how many cores it had?
I didn't know.
Holy cow. Ooh, I can hear the fan cranking up already. Ooh, it's already at 70. It's getting fast. Whoa, it's getting hot fast. 72. It's already hit a max 77 so far. It's still going. Let me hit Control-Alt-Delete. Let me go to the Task Manager. While we're doing this, we'll just add more tasks. Performance. %100% on our CPU. Oh, come on, move. Getting hotter. We've actually hit 87 already. We're still okay. 154 processes at 4.93. It will crank up to 6 at a base speed of 3.2 where it's a little more calm. We're still okay. We're under 100, so far so good.
Usually if it gets to 90, you shut her down, right?
Yeah, 95. Ooh, I can feel warm air blowing against me here.
Oh, yeah.
Memory usage, disk usage, Ethernet usage. We're using onboard graphics. I mean, put the graphics card in because I'll wait for it till it's put in the case to do that.
Yep.
$93. All right, that's enough. I don't want to take it any further. It's fine. I'm not hurting it. It's just cruel and unusual. I'll hit stop and yes, and then we should see those temps fall rather rapidly. And you can hear the fan quiets back down. Not a big deal. No need to call the fire department.
No.
But this is not an adequate cooler for this chip for that reason. Now, of course, if we're just using this computer the way you and I have been using it, browsing the web, checking email, that cooler's fine, but feel it. Feel it right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like burning hot, but it's hotter than you normally would expect a piece this big to get that warm. So we do want an all-in-one liquid cooler solution on this regardless. I would not be comfortable with putting a larger heatsink because it'll cover up our RGB RAM. Likely would even get in the way. And we're really going for an aesthetic. We don't want to just look at a heatsink. Otherwise, you might as well just buy a $5 motherboard and cover it with a giant heatsink if you want to do that. Not that such a thing exists, but I'm using that as an extreme example of ridiculousness. Okay, guys, I think, are we done?
I think so, yeah.
We're what, 3 hours into today's video? That's not bad. We normally were going 4. Now, we have the previous motherboard that has to be disconnected, the tray removed. That board has to come out. This board will go in. The tray will slide back in. We hook the wires back up, put the heat pump back on it. And then I can put the 3090 Ti with the download the latest NVIDIA drivers. It's done. So that's a couple hours of work, but it's not really visually stunning. It's pretty boring work, actually, because all the parts are configured. This is all the detail work that's important that you want to pay attention to. Mounting and dismounting boards is pretty boring stuff.
How old is that heat pump that's in there? Couple of years?
Well, I bought it when we did the build, slightly after we did the build. I upgraded it. So when was that Cougar build? many moons ago. That's the Cougar Conquer 2 computer case build. I think if you search my channel,
Yeah.
I think, what did I say, it was 2 years ago?
That's what I thought, yeah.
But it had to be right towards the end of Studio A, moving into Studio B, right before the pandemic. So that would have been 2019. Must have been the end of no. It has to be more than 2 years.
Yeah.
I want to say 2019. I think it's been 3.
And the fluid just sitting in that radiator.
Yeah, that shouldn't matter. It's no different than buying a all-in-one cooler off the shelf at the store.
Right.
You don't know how long it was sitting on the shelf. It could be
Yep.
there years.
Yep.
Andy wants to know what all-in-one cooler would I use for this build. It depends on what the case will hold. The biggest cooler the case can hold. So right now we've got the Cougar 360 in there.
Yep.
If the Cougar case held a 420, I'd put a 420 in it. The biggest one I can fit in the case. If the case only held a 240 or a 280, I'd put that in there. Probably be just fine. As long as it's a liquid cooler, the size of it's less important unless you're really intending to slam on it, which is very unrealistic for most end users. I see my friend Ron Hillier in the chat. Good to see you, my friend. Paul Howe says, great stream. Thanks, Carrie, Mitch, and Mara. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for all your support, your contributions, for hanging out. I guess we can go full screen on camera 1. Look at that. All right. Hey, not too bad.
Yeah.
I didn't screw up too badly today.
I learned some things.
No.
I said something.
You learned to ChatGPT. You ever seen ChatGPT before?
No.
First experience?
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
I guess, yeah.
I think it's neat.
Keep thinking. No.
I'm trying.
Okay.
Smoke's happening. Elijah52 Dickens says, this is the best community I've ever been in. I had to donate. I'd like to donate all the time. Been health issues. Everything is fine now. Keep a good thing going. Hello. I am back. Carrie, well, we're glad to have you back. And thank you for your kind words and your support. Oystein's been a member now for 2 months, right on. Thank you, Oystein. Always cool when we see people in other countries enjoying our content.
Yep.
That's the closest I've ever been to Norway so far. Yep. I hope to change that someday. One day I'll drive my Ford to the fjord. Not eating any lunafisk. You can have that.
Yeah.
Not interested.
Wonder what kind of shots I'm going to require for Vietnam. I go to a place called the Travel Bug. I'll give them a plug, and it's you go in, tell them where you're going, and then they tell you what shots you need.
Probably rabies, distemper.
Well, I sure don't want to get malaria, but the guy will give me a pill to take one a day, a pill to keep. If I get bit by a mosquito, I won't get malaria, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want malaria, so. But yeah, God knows what shots.
John Williams says, have a great weekend. Take care, Mitch and Camera Girl. Lucky you. You get to spend all that money, sit on a plane for 2/3 of a day, and get needles injected into you.
Yeah.
And then that costs you how much money? No,
Yeah,
I don't want to know.
Yeah. But hotel rooms are, I've been researching.
Oh, yeah, once you're there, I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
All that's behind you at that point. Now you're there.
Dinner for $2 American, good hotel rooms for $50. If you really want to treat yourself, I mean, $100 would probably get you, a 4.5-star hotel. I mean, if you really want to splurge. But
Corey Fruitman from Instant House Call was just raving about how great Cambodia was and how good the food was, and that nobody really talks about it. And if you're in Vietnam, it's just right there. You got to go.
Right.
So you'll have to if you do that.
Well, and the good news is you could normally only get a 30-day visa, but just this week, Vietnam has decided that the 30-day tourist visa is not really long enough, so they're going to extend it to 90. So that's great.
There's a YouTube video about Thailand where they have a government agency to promote Thai restaurants in the United States so that they all conform to standard recipes and that they import their ingredients from Thailand. Okay. So it brings business to Thailand in the form of bringing the ingredients in for authentic Thai cuisine. It universally makes Thai restaurants in America more in line with what Thai food actually is. And for tourism, when Americans go to Thailand and they want to try Thai food, it encourages tourism. And I've never heard that there's such a government agency of any country that will help pay for the restaurant and help pay for, I suppose, training and cook, chef training, because it's good for the country. There's a whole YouTube video on this. I was blown away by, I guess there was an issue where Thai restaurants were using local American ingredients and the dishes were nothing at all like actual Thai cuisine.
Yeah.
And so people were not, when they would come to Thailand and go to a restaurant, they would not experience what they experienced in America. And they realized we can make a lot of money here, not only from the exporting of our ingredients, but also from the tourism for people that want, it's one of the things people talk about when they travel is the food, right? That's a big, if I'm going to Kentucky, I'm going to have some fried chicken is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If I'm going to Georgia, I might have me some chicken and waffles.
The only thing the YouTube videos warn me with Ho Chi Minh City, I think there's 9 million people, and a lot of people ride motor scooters, and they tend to love to lean on their horns. So it's a very noisy city. So they're
Well,
like,
I want to see.
So I'm like,
I want to see one of these things.
So then I'm paying to stay in a good hotel that I can still hear the street noise. So I'll have to wear earplugs in order to sleep. And I'm like, yeah. So, but I'm only going to stay there 4 or 5 nights, and then that's in the south of Vietnam, and then I'm going to work my way north up to Hanoi and Halong Bay. And
I think if you want to have the authentic experience, you can't a la carte it. You can't say, give me this part without that part.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not having a real experience.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it to be 90 out and 90% humidity.
Tom is reminding you of the time someone took the money out of your account the last time you traveled.
Oh, I've got that handled. That will never happen again.
A little PTSD there.
Yeah, I planned that out. So.
Well, thanks for your help today. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you weren't getting too rusty. You're doing a great job.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure to see everyone in chat, and
it's like we never took any time off.
Get to build these monster computers that I can never afford.
You see, nothing was DOA. Everything works like it should.
Fine.
We can probably download some Corsair software to control the RGB if we want to customize it, which is, I will play with that for hours. Oh, it's going to happen. You want to say goodbye? Thank you to Camera Girl for the close-up work. She killed the battery on the camera. You can't ask for more than that.
Yeah. And I told Carrie, you probably forgot, we're going to leave the light on, but as soon as I turn that on, the cameras don't like that because they'll probably dim us. So not that we'll be dark, but
I'm already dim.
We're going to leave the light on for you. There.
It's doing all right.
There you go.
I haven't turned that on in a long time.
Yeah.
This is why all the camera angles are looking up.
Oh,
yeah. I'm pretty short.
I found somebody shorter than me.
Okay.
And I didn't have to go to the elementary school because they don't like me there anymore.
So we'll leave the light on for you. There you go. And
thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for hanging with us. Appreciate that.
Our friend Buster in Scotland, always a special shout out for Buster, for John Wilson. Thank you again to Rad. Thank you to all of our contributors today, and Oystein and Giordane, and just going off the top of my head here.
Yeah, Michael Dane. Nice to see you
always
again.
Good. Our fellow community members, folks we regularly see, Starshine and Master Singleton, Dustin Fuller, just looking at the names straight ahead. And you're all just a pleasure to have in the chat room. Thank you guys for being a part of this amazing community, for hanging out with us today, and for not, being the way that average user on the internet behaves. Really means a lot to me if you can't tell. And I kind of started off today in a mood. I don't know why. I was just really kind of stressed out, and I turned the subscribers mode only for the chat, and it's just subscribers, doesn't cost anybody anything. But I was just on the edge, and I thought, last night I did a couple of streams and I was on fire, and I thought anything can go. And then this morning I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and I was like, this probably isn't the right day to deal with stress. So thank you guys for being courteous and for being my friends. And thank you, of course, to Mitch, Camera Girl, and
everyone have a great weekend and be safe. I'm going to be safe on riding my mean machine, my motorcycle, and very nice weather out there.
Enjoy it while it lasts. 100-degree days are coming.
Yeah.
Of course, moderators, supporters, contributors, half of these videos wouldn't happen without you. I guarantee that. So more than words can express. Thank you so much. We will see you all very, very soon. We'll have an update on this as time goes on. We'll probably do the rest of this off camera unless, I don't know. I'm not intending to film the removal and install. It's so boring. And it's big and it's hard to film. So when it's all said and done, I'll show you the final product. But thank you so much. We'll see you all soon. Bye for now.
Bye for now.